Attention and Dynamics. Treatise. Author Alexandr Korol. Narrator Alexander Notkin.
I study statistics on people's attention and what captures it. Based on my book sales, Have Not Charity, Adam and Eve in Society, and Attention Control, I realized that Attention Control was the least popular. It had the lowest rating among all the above books, and it had fewer mentions on social media. Attention Control provides fundamental information that explains how and why I see and feel everything so clearly and why I never make mistakes. This particular book has lower ratings, but the ratings were low not because people read it and didn't like it. People's attention is not drawn to this book. People don't see it, are not interested in it, and something inside stops them from buying it. But if people read it, I'm sure they would say that all their most essential questions in life were answered. And they would say that this book is a must-read for everyone. However, something repels people's attention from this book, and they don't want to buy it. I can conclude that the same thing happens to you in all other situations. Your inner feelings are not in your control, and you don't know where your focus of attention lies. You think all your wants and likes are your own sincere inner drive. However, this is not true. False feelings take over almost everything in your life. You may have a good person right in front of you. However, you don't see him due to the false inner feelings. Your inner feelings depend on the choices you make, your lifestyle, and the focus of your attention. You may ignore the good person and let some random people be closer to you. Maybe there were times when you didn't feel the impact of society. Everyone falls under the influence of society sooner or later. You might have liked watching kind and heartwarming movies with sincerity, truth, and justice during adolescence. Gradually, you care less and less about such movies because they don't steal your attention anymore. You're no longer looking for such emotions or interested in them. So, you turn away from kind and genuine movies, and the degradation process escalates. And while your attention is dulled and swayed by outside sources, society offers you different types of film and music, which are also dull and shallow. And you like it because you think it's from your heart, because it makes you feel good. Their attention becomes even more fixated on it. But what they need to know is that this range of attention was imposed on them by someone else. It is a big problem in society nowadays. Everything is twisted and broken. People lost direction. They follow shiny objects like a donkey chasing a carrot. But the difference is that it is not a real carrot anymore, but a piece of rusty scrap metal. People are chasing rusty scrap because it steals their attention. What do I see lately? People act like zombies from the apocalypse movies. The number of cases of mental disorders and dementia is rapidly growing. People don't see, hear, or understand clearly. They don't remember what they do or what they want. People act on spontaneous emotions that they trust and commit unthinkable acts. Let's analyze why a book about attention control didn't grasp people's attention. It is very simple. From a very early age, one can observe what path a person chooses in future life, sinful or virtuous. Every person is born with sins and virtues in their own individual proportions. Imagine a situation. We are kids and sitting at the table with our parents and grandparents. Adults are serving food, starting with an entree and salad. But we don't want veggies and greens, and we demand sandwiches or homemade sweets. Not every child acts this way, but those who do have a predisposition to sins. When a person acts this way as a child, he will become more capricious growing up. This person will be more keen on trends and fashion. You can make this conclusion by observing the behavior of the children. A similar situation is with school. Those parents who have the least animal instincts dress you in a uniform. You adhere to it, and whether it is cool or not doesn't matter to you. These are the rules set by the principal and your parents. The kids who don't comply with the rules and don't listen to their teachers and parents have a sinful propensity. Therefore, the inclination is evident from a very early age. The temptations and challenges become more potent with age and are directly related to attention. The question is, what steals our attention? What attracts our attention? What else is happening in high school and college? Here's what I see. I was observing and interviewing people in different countries and cities and came to important conclusions. Some of you had friends from school or your neighborhood. Later, when you start college, some of these friends become trendy, which is sinful. So you drifted apart because they wanted to be modern and popular. They stopped being friends with you because you were not popular or fashionable. Why do relationships break and the surroundings change when children attend high school or college? Children with sinful predispositions start choosing peers who are keen on fashionable cars and trendy bars. For example, you had a close friend and used to go fishing together or play with a kite. Suddenly, he no longer talks to you and only remembers you when he is in trouble. The sinful, shallow world took over your old friend who reaches out to you only when he is in trouble. When he is in trouble and his heart is tender again, he remembers his old self and your sincere and genuine friendship. He wants to escape the shallow, sinful world and talk to you because you don't judge him, and he is not ashamed to show you his vulnerability. He cannot be authentic and vulnerable in society because people must act cool and show off.
Here is the intersection of my two books, Attention Control and Have Not Charity. Have Not Charity explains what steers your attention and how you can control it. This book is not about awareness, but about sins and virtues, and sinful people don't like it. The cover of the book is attractive. It has an appealing drawing of a pink square on a black background, and the name is alluring as well. Naturally, Have Not Charity initially attracted sinful and floundering people. After reading the book and discovering that it discusses sins and virtues, they turned away. People don't speak about these subjects in primitive and fashionable societies. They talk about sex and trends. They discuss blockbusters, parties, outfits, and what is stylish and trendy. The book Attention Control explains that you are your attention. Your soul and your inner self is attention, a cluster of energy. The awareness spreads inside and influences all five senses. So, your attention is ruled and steered through the subjects and objects you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Addictions and awareness are interconnected. The key to overcoming addictions is controlling the attention. Let's analyze what a deficit of attention is and what hyperactivity is. I am not a doctor nor a psychiatrist, but I have been studying attention as a subject for over 10 years. I wrote so many books because I knew what attention was and learned how to control it. I wouldn't be able to write that many books without the ability to control my attention. Usually, our attention is dissolved in the noise. Most people live in such a rhythm of life that makes it impossible to enter a creative mode and stay in it. People call and text you all day, and you call and text someone constantly. Your attention connects to the vibrations of various topics and subjects while communicating with people and disperses around. People listen to random music, eat whatever, and communicate with whoever. I'm sure this situation is familiar to all of us. I have an unpublished book, Frequencies and Corridor, which explains a lot about frequencies. When a person's attention is distracted by social media noise, his mind is out there. Someone posted a like on a person's page and his mind is gone. The entire 100% of a person's attention must be present at the moment. If he thinks about something else, he's neither here nor now. His physical body is here next to you, but his awareness is floundering somewhere where his attention went. Many people complain nowadays that they don't feel their partner's attention. This is happening at work and in people's homes. People's attention is steered away and they are outside of reality. People mindlessly act on autopilot mode. They lack focus and therefore are not able to concentrate. Do you think it is possible for an absent-minded person to write a book? No, everything will distract him. He will check his phone, and if he turns his phone off, he will look for other distractions. He will pour himself a drink, go outside for a smoke, take multiple bathroom breaks, or do something else. People's attention constantly bounces from one object to another. An unconscious person is restless. Attention is awareness. If someone can't play chess for 5 hours in a row, he is unconscious. I am not talking about playing for money. It is temptation. I mean the classic game of chess. So most people cannot sit and play for 5 hours. If someone can, then he is conscious. Most will become anxious after half an hour and want to take a break, make a phone call, or do something else. Their attention is gone, and he is not a person anymore, but a zombie. There is a massive issue with attention control, even among creative people. Society has so many provocations and temptations, and people allow it to be. You could have blocked all sources of distraction, but you eagerly check social media, read the news, and absorb all the junk information which lowers your vibrations. All these distractions disconnect you from real life. So many talented people have lost their gifted abilities nowadays. They complain they don't have inspiration and that they cannot write books or compose music anymore. Modern lifestyle has no room for inspiration. One should put his phone away if he wants to be able to create again. This is not a call to action. I am telling you what I would do. When a person is sure that he is a musician and music is essential for him, he should do a digital detox. He should take a break from all social media, all news, and all messengers. He should turn off all notifications and ask everyone to give him space. He should lock himself alone in a room and start composing for days. It might be challenging in the first couple of days. You might feel an urge to check your phone or get a snack. It is normal because one temptation always replaces another. If a person is not browsing online, he tends to overeat. If he is not binging, he leans on nicotine or alcohol. If not substances, then maybe porn or something else. All of it shuts down the heart and turns off people's minds. People prefer to have a diffused and dimmed mind. They like the relaxed and detached state of mind. Attention control is a serious topic, and people should know more about it. I described an exercise in my book called A Technique with a Chair. Using this exercise, I demonstrated to my friends and myself how to check the level of consciousness and awareness and how much you are detached from yourself and attached to society. If a person can sit in a chair isolated and in complete silence for an hour, then he is mindful. If he can't sit on a chair calmly for an hour and starts fidgeting, itching and twisting in 10-15 minutes and gives up shortly after starting, he is absent-minded. A mindless person is used to the fact that his attention is steered by society and he is not in control. He is merely a robot. This is how I invented this technique. Later, I created a training method based on an exercise with a chair. You must sit in a chair and focus on one subject, which must be the same each time you practice. Consistency is the key. If you practice it daily for a month and learn how to concentrate your entire attention in one spot, it will significantly benefit you. Your mind and body will remember the state you experienced when you practiced the technique. You can use that state when you need to focus before an exam or an interview, when you need to concentrate before the performance, or when you need to make a decision. Close your eyes and recall the state that you were in when you were sitting on a chair. Immediately, you will get to the assembly point and be present here and now. I developed this technique 10 years ago and described it in my attention control book. There was no information on this subject back then, neither online nor in books. No videos on YouTube, no articles, and no books. It is popular nowadays because everyone has become a guru, and many sinful people started to coach and preach to others. People pick up from each other and copy and paste. They think they know how to control their attention and even teach others, but they don't. Those people are not even humans. They are robots. They are sinful and weak cyborgs that has fallen into temptation. They don't know what attention is all about. Attention is a superpower. It is the key to the success of all great scientists and genius people. Film producers consider your attention when they make movies. They know the dynamics and calculate when to show what and for how long. So people will watch the movie for 2 hours in a row. They orchestrate the structure of the film, the rhythms, and the soundtracks. They consider every detail. All marketing and advertising specialists, as well as salespeople, know it and use it. All of these people steer people's attention, your attention, using the most sneaky approach. They provoke and stimulate your sinful mechanisms to make money. People love the topics of wealth and health. There are so many movies, books, and podcasts on relationships. There are plenty of TV shows where people confront each other. These shows are popular because of the negative emotions, envy, jealousy, lust, hypocrisy, betrayal, pride, and judgment. I have observed it throughout my entire life. My book, Adam and Eve in Society, has a very high ranking. Unlike Attention Control, Adam and Eve in Society is nothing special and talks about people in their everyday lives like a reality show. The book discusses education and upbringing, but people were preliminarily interested in some examples that describe people's sins and vulgar actions. People were interested in this book not because they knew what it was about. Everyone loved the cover of the book. They were drawn to the catchy name and stylish look of the book. Adam and Eve in Society was more popular than Attention Control because it was more attractive. They bought the book instinctively because it was appealing. Attention Control, on the other hand, has a modest black cover with a simple drawing. People didn't like the picture of a man figure on the black background. It was the only reason. The name Attention Control also seemed strange and suspicious to them. When your attention is dissolved, you are not here. You are not even alive. All current events are intended to blind people and steal their clear vision and consciousness. So many negative situations in the world provoke people's senses. I want to talk about the fact that so many people of any age, even young people, have issues with attention, memory, and concentration. People are diagnosed with dementia and mental disorders at a very young age, and no one knows what is the cause of it. Are these the consequences of COVID, or maybe the impact of the disturbing news? I have been working on this topic for over a year. One of the problems is that your attention is always on one mode, and you don't switch it from rhythm to rhythm. Before, people used to have different rhythms in their lives. When a person was with a family, he was in the family mode. He played with the kids or dogs and was fully engaged in it. When a person was at work, he was in a work mood, and his attention was captivated by tasks and work activities. When a person switches from one rhythm to another, his attention is clear and sharp. When a person is on one of the rhythms, his attention must be 100% on the goal and purpose of that particular mode. You must alternate the rhythms of work, family, personal hobbies, and friends. The problem of most people nowadays, not only older adults but young too, is that they are stuck in one rhythm as a comfort zone. Let's call this spectrum of frequency 235. When a person is on the 235 spectrum, he acts and feels the same in every situation. He has the same attitude and behavior when communicating with his family, colleagues, strangers, or friends. However, his work mode must be active and concentrated, and his family mode must be relaxed. He shouldn't bring his home mood to work. A person acts like a vegetable, and if he turns on some music when he is on that frequency, what happens? People used to know how to tune into the frequency of movies and music. When they watched a movie or listened to a song, They were fully immersed in it. Nowadays, many can't tune into the atmosphere of books, movies, and music. Indeed, there are conscious people with voluminous attention who understand what I mean. But for many people, the deficit of attention and abstinence of mind became a real issue. They are reading this book, but they are not present. What do they see? This is a dilemma. I aim to help my readers have a good and conscious life, but I see that some people struggle with it. I have been working on this significant subject for over 10 years and have a lot of readers. When I announced my book Attention Control presentation, the attendance was very meager. What a shame. This indicates that my efforts of reaching out to people all these years were not fruitful. My book didn't save the world and its inhabitants. People follow the sinful hotshots on social media and trust them. Those who used to read my books are lost. People's attention, memory, and consciousness directly depend on their lifestyle and habits. You may think it doesn't matter, but it does. I will continue this treatise in a Q&A format. I hope I will offer enough examples for you to receive new essential tools and keys. This book is not a textbook on attention control, but a scientific story about you and your life. Remember, one who doesn't have attention doesn't live at all. Question: Alexander, can you please explain how to disconnect from one rhythm and connect to another? How can I separate these rhythms? For example, I want to disconnect from the work mode and connect to a hobby, a book, a family, or a trip. The problem is that everything is mixed up. I can't wholly immerse myself into one specific mode. One of the problems that has arisen in society during the past 3 years is that many people have started working remotely during the pandemic. They started working from home and didn't return to the offices. Many people didn't have a separate home office or designated workplace, and their family and work rhythms got mixed up. Before the pandemic, people used to wake up at a particular time, dress in a specific clothing, and arrive in a particular work atmosphere. This process's elements help the person tune into a frequency of work and disconnect from the home mode. A person's mind and body subconsciously react to the surrounding elements, and his mindset launches work mode. Other vital elements are the working hours and discipline. People could disengage from the rhythm of the home and family and connect to the rhythm of work. When people started working from home during the pandemic, these time frames were disturbed, and people faced severe consequences. If you didn't experience it personally, it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. A large percentage of people have suffered, families split up, and lives were changed forever. You probably have seen it in the news. The reason is that spouses didn't spend that much time together before. Everyone had his dynamics, and every activity had a time and place. People lived happily for decades because they both used to go to work in the morning and meet in the evening. They spent evenings together, but not the entire day. When this order collapsed, the perception of people towards themselves, their partners, their homes, and their work changed. It was a disastrous attack on people's psyche. In addition, there was a massive panic that also confused and disrupted people's mindsets. All boundaries and borders disappear when a person experiences a shock or stress. You can jump over a 6-foot fence when you run away from a pack of dogs. You did it in shock, but couldn't do it when you were in your usual state of mind. Because in your normal state, your mind would evaluate the factors and tell you it is impossible. All borders and margins are erased when you are in shock and running away from danger. The same thing happened in the worst meaning of the word. When you are in panic or distress, you lose a sense of understanding of people around you. You don't comprehend who is the closest one and who is a stranger. It happens slowly and seamlessly. Naturally, people don't do it on purpose. You can look at your life and compare your current life or the lives of the people you know to the previous years. Take yourself 5 or 8 years back. You used to have close friends and sincere and authentic relationships with them. You had acquaintances, neighbors, and relatives. You had different relationships with different categories of people. There were also boundaries and margins between public people and regular folks. There were public people like artists and movie stars, and they were unreachable. Now, these boundaries have washed off. There are no borders in communication between strangers. Letting a stranger into the house or telling him about your entire life was odd. Now people talk and argue with total strangers on social media and trust them with personal information. It was not like this before. Shocking events of recent years triggered people, and they lost their sense of boundaries. People don't notice it. Some don't even understand the differences between personal relationships and communication with distant people. They are more open with distant people and less with their loved ones. The boundaries are vanishing, and it is awful. They are disappearing not only because of the current shocking events. Everything is very interconnected. It is also happening due to the progression of social media. Real life transitioned to the digital world. The pandemic escalated the shift. Many panicked and were ready to do anything to make money and survive. People were scared to lose their income, and many lost their jobs. Education also shifted online. And what do we see now? The internet became artificial. There are so many attractive stories and articles on any given subject online. People write posts about the history of St. Petersburg, how to grow tomatoes, or how to dress. The agenda behind these posts and stories differs from before the pandemic. 5 years ago, the motivation behind the online posts was not only more sincere, but it was different. Before the collapse, people used to share their stories, tell about their hobbies or professional achievements. Now, they are pushed to the background. Who replaced them? Self-proclaimed gurus who manufacture alluring profiles and teach people online classes on all possible subjects. Anyone can proclaim themselves the most incredible hairdresser and launch online courses. The content for online broadcasting is based on a different agenda now. People used to post what they were passionate about. Before, people used to post what they really loved to do, like their favorite music or dance. For example, I used to post some articles on subjects that were interesting to me then. What is happening now? Fake people flooded social media. They have one common quality: the absence of conscience. These people are full of sins. They are greedy, arrogant, and boastful. They don't have a good upbringing and are shameless and do anything for a profit. These people are sinful, audacious, vainglorious. They have no noble qualities and come from a poor upbringing. All of them are dabbling in social media to make money. Every person you see online nowadays does something for you. They film and post. Before, we saw authentic people who were in love with traveling. They traveled all over the world and shared their adventures on social media. Now, most of the people who do it don't even care about traveling. They do it to attract attention, grow the audience, and make money on advertisements. You can notice that the world is moving towards some collapse. When videos about traveling lost momentum, what did the bloggers start doing? They started showing the ugly and negative sides of traveling. If lovely places and beautiful locations don't steal people's attention anymore, they film and show cities filled with crime, sex trafficking, poverty, and homeless people. They are not doing it to demonstrate knowledge or to show how smart and trendy they are. The only motivation is to grasp people's attention. They are showing scary and hideous stories because that hooks people's attention. Those who used to attract attention by participating in scandalous shows about cheating and drama became even more depraved. Values are invalidated and morals are dismissed. The stream of information has become even more perverted lately. Many things that were despicable before became trendy. Every second girl or a woman says she has a condition, takes pills, and is in therapy. It became a point of pride and gained popularity. If someone told people about it 5 years ago, people would cringe and tell them, "Why do you think this is cool? How can you talk about it? You are so young, but clinging to some mental diagnosis and can't live without therapy sessions." It is intentionally perverted now, and it has become trendy to talk about domestic abuse. Do you think everything is true and everyone is a victim? Most people didn't know anything about it before it became fashionable. They had their own experiences and perceptions and never thought something was wrong. But evil intention and mass perversion led to what we see now. It is a trend. A trend is the behavior of a herd. If 100 chickens said something, the rest want to follow. It has become trendy that every single woman and some man brag about personal issues and share controversial and personal information about their parents. This is a disaster. For me, it is a sign that the world is coming to an end. We all grew up in different times and civilizations. Everyone could get a spank. Everyone had some conflicts. It is a part of life and completely normal. But everything is so perverted now. People would do anything to spark activity and create momentum around their personas. People are ready to lower their values and vulgarize their lives and the lives of their families for likes, subscribers, and followers. People publicly antagonize their parents who only meant the best for their children and raised them the best they could. Negativity polluted social networks and media channels. Everyone had a personal, unique childhood experience growing up, but nowadays it is trendy to pervert, demonize, and create a public story about it. Domestic violence became a trendy phrase. What's next? Will people posting a dislike on my post be considered offenders? If I counted all of them, I would be dead by now. Do you see how deliberately things are perverted? A simple explanation is twisted into some aggressively hostile form. My opinion is that there are no childhood traumas and no domestic abuse. The only real cases of abuse and physical abuse are those when a family member physically raped you. This is a crime and you must involve the police. But what happens now is the disastrous trend to attract attention by loud statements. All of this is done to attract attention. You see all of this and it stirs emotions around you. Why am I talking about this? I want to explain one of the main reasons why some of you don't feel boundaries anymore. People who make these statements transmit a particular energy and frequency. Those who read my books know what I mean by frequency. If I were watching the news or a show about the traveling made by a person who lives in a world where the words domestic abuse and psychological trauma are common, I would connect to that frequency. A person produces a show, but the internal code of his dark and negative mind will transmit and impose on you through his work. I don't watch YouTube anymore because of the atmosphere that dominates there. It dramatically influences your mood and determines how you perceive the world. Further, it triggers your reactions. There are other factors that explain why boundaries are vanishing, and we will go over them as well. The margins and boundaries have started vanishing because of the shocking events of the recent few years, including remote work and the rapid progress of the internet. The internet space has become fake and polluted. There is no fresh air there. People used to go online to take a break from society and recharge. Now, we want to escape from the internet and catch a breath in real life. This is not very obvious, but the tendency is there. You may not notice it, but you would be shocked if I showed you how it's done. Everything is soulless and done on autopilot. People mindlessly copy and react each other. People mindlessly copy and repeat each other. People blow things out of proportion to get attention but offer nothing in return. No truth, authenticity, or essence. The amount of information is enormous. It disturbs people's focus and damages their psyche. People who watch other people's lives feel miserable. Do you know who is happy? people who focus on their hobbies and interests. For example, there is someone interested in beetles. He photographs them, collects articles, researches studies, and looks for any information about beetles. He is free from the influences of social media and news. He spends his spare time reading encyclopedias, photographing, and writing articles about beetles in different languages. He has a group of people who share the same interests. They meet, communicate, and exchange information. This person is sincerely interested in the subject of his passion, and he is happy. He has no clue that there is some new blockbuster that crowds are obsessed with. What else is happening? Total devaluation of everything. Another thing I see is also devastating. You see it yourself, and it doesn't require any proof. Perversions that dominate the world are trying to abolish religions. What happens in the world? People conspicuously put sacred scriptures on fire to demonstrate tolerance in European countries. This is very scary. When values are trivialized, there will be massive consequences. Everything is debased. I am a modern civil person, not a religious fanatic. I have a human respect for all religions and cultures. I appreciate customs and values, and I feel in pain when I see how they get ruined. The sacred rituals are devalued when every other priest creates social media channels and posts something. The religious leader should be elusive. If you want to see him, you must go to the temple and find him. If anyone can text him and talk to him online, then people devalue him and his service. There used to be a contrast between regular people and famous people like Hollywood directors or actors. People used to admire them and find them unique. You watch a movie and you find it remarkable. You don't know anything about the person who made this film and know nothing about his life. You didn't know where he lived and how to meet him. Now you go online and see the details of anybody's private life. You see how he runs errands, barbecues, buys socks, or repairs his bikes. You see everything he posts. You see him as average and lose respect for him, especially if he shows himself as ordinary. And how do people's mind work? If they see a person as a regular, they lose respect for him. The boundaries between artists and audiences are vanishing. People used to have respect and were intimidated to bother famous actors. Nowadays, they have the audacity to criticize, tell them what to do, and even judge them. This is already happening. The same thing is happening with religious leaders. A religious worker must be out of reach. You can find him at the church or temple if you need to see him. If you can write a text message to him, that is it. People should not be seeing it, but they do. You don't control your mind, especially sins and instincts leading to disastrous consequences. It goes to a fatal abyss, and it is a catastrophe. Who is the most miserable person now? It is a person who spends all his time watching the lives of strangers. Do you know who struggles the most? A person who watches the news and follows various media channels. All media sources like YouTube and others constantly offer something to you. You don't distinguish false from truth. You may think that this information is good and that it's real. And then your life becomes meaningless and dull. You are distracted and don't know what to do and what is essential. You automatically continue doing something you used to do for a while without having feelings. Or you do it because you must earn a living. Yes, a job is a job, but you don't feel joy and pleasure. You must do what you do, otherwise you will get broke. This is what is happening now: social and psychological devastation and destruction. I will keep working on this subject so I can reach every single person. I understand that it used to be okay and safe to be a part of the social flock and do what everyone else does. Everyone was living like that before, but now you must take responsibility for your life and put yourself together. If you do not control your notions and actions, you will jump into an abyss with the rest of the people in the herd. Society is led towards the dark abyss. I don't see the light there.
I see that people become more angry and unhappy every year. What happened? People lost their orientation and forgot what it meant to feel warmth inside. The boundaries have vanished, and people don't feel the contrast between home and work. Back in the days when people came home from work, they disconnected from the outside world and fully immersed themselves in the home atmosphere. Nowadays, because of the internet and everything else, people don't feel the transition and can't connect to the family mode. People's feelings are perplexed, and it is a catastrophe. I'm talking from personal experience and an example of what I feel. Many people think that the world has changed, but it has not. It is an illusion. Authentic people and genuine feelings exist, and many examples exist. Some people don't fall under the influence of society, and they live happy and fulfilling lives. They protect their privacy, and you won't see them showing off online. The narrative of social media content changed drastically. It is a trap. It used to be genuine, and people shared their everyday stories and events. Some people had the skills to show it more in a more alluring and glamorous way, and others just posted simple photos and shared their thoughts. Nowadays, the entire info world is false and phony. There is no growth and no evolution. People create flashy and fabricated content to influence attention and show off. There is always a choice, and choices define our lives. People make choices based on the desires of the mind or the heart. Their intentions are based on dark qualities, which are sins, or light, which are virtues. Most photos people post online are artificial and aim to satisfy others. The intent is not coming from the heart. People travel to places that are Instagram-able. They are constantly looking for flashy content to post. A person decides whether to answer to another person based on his profile and how many followers he has. People judge others by the appeal of Instagram content and the amount of popular posts and likes. When I reached out to some people from my personal Instagram page, where I have a few followers, none of them responded. I personally checked in, and even though people denied it, I know who they are. When I contacted people from my official page, they were eager to work with me because the page is famous and well known. They responded right away and were super friendly and nice. See the difference? When they thought of me as a regular guy, they didn't want to pay attention. This is how attention control works. This happens with many publishing houses. I am not talking about the publishing agency I work with. They are great. But some I contacted before were awful. I have often heard that publishing houses are not interested in publishing writers, especially new ones, because of the sales. They prefer to work with eminent bloggers because their popularity will help to market their books better. Imagine. So the shallowness is crawling into the literature as well. Not many people will understand what I am so passionately talking about. People take no offense. I want people to know how severe and profound the situation is. It is easy to fall into this trap. False stereotypes and catchy trends influenced many people from my circle. That is it. I am all alone. Recently, I announced an online event, a presentation of my book Attention Control, for a nominal amount of $10. Before the pandemic, 10,000 people would sign up. This time, the attendance was meager. What happened to the 10,000 people? Are people disappointed in me? I don't think so. The information I share through my books is essential, and people appreciate it. I wrote a lot of books recently. Did my writing become worse? No, it became better. What happened then? People lost a sense of feeling. Is it because my books lost the depth or something broke in people? This is the most critical question. People are damaged so much they cannot distinguish between good and evil. Shameless imposters on social media dose and mess your mind to the point that you don't understand, don't see or hear anything. Imagine that some of you are genuinely interested in something, like beetles. You researched everything about unique beetles
and shared the information online for 15 years. You had followers and fans with similar interests, and your profile grew an audience who read your posts and watched your stories during that time. Do you know how to make this person, a professional specializing in Beatles for 15 years, disappear? It is very simple. Produce his copycats all over the country. It is easy to take an average guy who has no clue about Beatles, dress him up, and announce him as a Beatles specialist. Due to his low upbringing, he is naturally impudent, and he has no problems brazenly positioning himself everywhere as a top-notch professional who knows everything about Beatles. Naturally, when this happens, the actual specialists with 15 years of expertise take a step back, not forward. An authentic person will not compete with impudent imposters. It is happening in every industry. Many talented musicians still work and create original music, but barely have any followers. Some have 80,000 followers, some 100,000. People forget about them or don't know them. Their music is no longer popular, and they are unseen. Brazen bloggers are widely seen and popularized. They have no shame and would do anything to gain popularity and grow their audience. Algorithms rules bloggers because they would do anything for the algorithms. They would post not what they really like and enjoy, but what will bring more attention. They blatantly create flashy content that attracts crowds. The content is bogus and spreads to the masses. People get under the influence of shallow and ludicrous information. It is scary how people's minds get foggy and unfocused. I feel sick when I talk about it. Everyone in society has some noise in their head. I have been researching the topic for over 15 years and observing the mutation of culture. Spirituality is purposely vulgarized so people can't find a way to get out and wake up. There is an overwhelming stream of information pouring from phony coaches and teachers, which creates a constant noise that is dumbing people. Society created noise and erased boundaries so much that people are getting dumb. This is a disaster. Let's talk about the question we discussed earlier. How does one overcome blurriness and build boundaries? There are many factors involved. Attention control and proper use of the frequencies are crucially important. I researched this matter for over 10 years and shared the information in my attention control book. After publishing it earlier this year, I made further progress and continued gathering information. I aim to share it with everyone and reach out to as many as possible to share the knowledge and practical materials. What is attention, and how can one use it to bring meaning to life and reach awareness? I was looking for the cause of the issue and the solution. Where are people unfocused and boundaries are dismissed? As I mentioned before, please be aware of the perverted culture that chases you online. One must know the harmful effects of social media. I am not a professional who can recommend how to live your life, and I am not giving you any orders. I am merely sharing my personal experiences and observations. For example, I deleted all contacts from my Telegram app to remove the constant flow of stories on my feed. The stream of contact impacts your mood and state of mind. Imagine someone posting something 24/7 out of vanity and greed, and you see his face constantly flashing on top of your feed. You don't use Telegram as social media. It was a convenient messenger to communicate with your family or colleagues. Then the structure of the messenger changed, and audacious people started using the algorithm to promote their profiles or products. All of a sudden, a person pops up on your screen unsolicited. If I block him, he pops up anyway. I understand the only way is to remove him from the address book. So I deleted the entire address book and all Telegram contacts from my phone to eliminate distractions. This is the influence of society that I mentioned earlier. The informative noise is poisoning your mind and impacts your mood and perception. This snaky virus crawls to you even through small pop-up windows on Telegram stories. Imagine. So I got rid of it.
How do we approach social media ecologically, create an order, and do a digital detox? I just have my private Instagram. There is no one there. I use it for uploading photos as a photo archive. It is handy for searching for places like museums or galleries. It is convenient. When I want to visit a museum virtually, not on the official site, I can use Instagram as well. I am not following anybody, and I don't see any stories. I see nothing there. I can log in and type the name of a museum or an artist I want to connect with. This is how I use Instagram. It is essential not to have any contact with people there. I am not advertising you to do the same and not insisting on it. I'm simply telling you how I live. I have my personal Telegram account, which is unknown to people. I use it to manage my broadcasting channels, including my official channel, where I publish my books, and another channel, where I post materials to support my readers. I share my thoughts and insights to keep people's spirits uplifted and hearts awake. I post some materials that can wake people up and make their souls alive. So you have Telegram, where no one can contact you, and you have no open chats that can impact you. If I go to Telegram, where you have some open chats and people are online, it influences me even if I don't talk to them at all. I used to browse YouTube exploring studies about the specific subjects I researched. It was a practical tool before, but I no longer use it. Now paid content has flooded YouTube, and even some programs on history and travel have a taint of exploitation and promoted content. There are tons of advertisements and suggested videos that transmit the frequency of evil society and corruption. People are bought and sold, and this rhythm is everywhere. I don't go on YouTube anymore. It was difficult to refuse it at first, but I controlled my urges. What I do now when I wake up, I turn on a particular program that I need. I Google it on my phone and sync it with the TV. But I don't turn YouTube anymore, so I don't see any commercials or bloggers. I don't use WhatsApp either. But I am an exception and not like ordinary people. I have 2 Telegram channels. One I can use to contact someone, and another is for incoming messages. I rarely check it, and when I do, it feels like a dive under the water. I hold my breath and plunge into society. I use Telegram to talk to my relatives or discuss some projects with my team immediately after I disconnect it. I don't have notifications there. All of us are used to checking media channels automatically from time to time. It is not very pleasant to check empty Instagram. When you go on Telegram, you will see a couple of channels you created. You collect pictures, music, or something else. You use it only for yourself. There is nothing from the outside, only yours. Your collection, your order, your choice. This gives you a breath of fresh air. Seriously, this is like a sip of oxygen. You breathe freely when you do that. This is the main order. Next, let's talk about building boundaries and keeping your focus. I approached this topic from different angles. There were times when people were asking me how to manage self-discipline. They said that their moods swing from periods of active motion to lethargy. I recommended creating a routine and assigning a specific time of day to certain activities. You must have a designated time for work each day. Also, it would be best to have a particular outfit associated with work, like a dress code. It can be anything, not necessarily a formal suit, but specific clothes that you only wear during your work time. You keep your work outfit separate and don't use it to walk your dog, meet a friend, or have a cozy evening on a sofa with your romantic partner. It is a shirt or a sweater you only wear when you work. Please take a note of it. You also must have a designated workplace. It can be a room or a table. Create a playlist you only listen to during work and never use it in the car. You can use aromas and select a particular drink assigned to work time. For example, you only drink green tea when you work. You can drink any other tea at other times, but green tea is only allowed during work hours.
Surround yourself with the elements to create an atmosphere that will hold you in work mode. Ritual is fundamental. It has become common for people to message each other at any time of the day. People tell me that they receive constant notifications which distract them from work. It is terrible and requires a serious approach. I will give you an example to illustrate how bad it is. Imagine you are at work and you got a notification that I published a new chapter. You got distracted immediately. It is bad, and it doesn't matter if the notification came from a good or bad channel. The point is, you can't mix up activities. I worked on my books all summer and didn't leave the house. I have a deadline and a schedule. I don't divert my attention to my other projects when I'm in a creative process. Every morning when I wake up, I start working on my book and don't distract myself even for 10 minutes to talk about some other matters like renovation or something else. It won't work. If I stop writing and speak to someone about some subjects unrelated to my book, my attention will shift from writing mode to another. It will be challenging to return to the original rhythm because they are entirely opposite. It takes time and practice to learn how to switch from one rhythm to another, but we must consider the forces of nature and the fact that it takes time to adjust. For example, I start working on my book at 10 a.m. and spend some time doing it. I am immersed in the process and engaged in the momentum. If during that time I must take a pause and talk to my team about an ongoing renovation project, it will take a lot of effort to manage a productive approach to the task. The modalities of my writing process and the renovation project are different. The conversation about construction has strenuous and vigorous energy, and I must feel it to communicate effectively with the contractors and supervisors. Then I have to go back to my writing, and it won't be a simple switch because I will still be on the rhythm of the construction topic. It doesn't happen on the spot. I have to disconnect from it and bring myself back into writing mode. It is a mistake that people are doing several tasks simultaneously. It is a terrible flaw. People should reconsider multitasking. When you are doing several things at the same time, you can make wrong decisions. For example, your husband is at work. He is loading sea containers, dealing with rough processes and operating on a rigid frequency. The temperature of the conversation on that rhythm is high, and voices are often elevated. Imagine now you, as his wife, calling him while he is in that mode and asking him to decide what color pillow you should buy, blush pink or pastel yellow. A man is in a completely different world now. He is not the husband you see at home, your beau and best friend. He is a tough guy who deals with headstrong people and might yell at you. He doesn't mean it. He is in a different mode, and his consciousness is connected to work process. This is how it works. The transitional switch from one frequency to another is imperative. I may act too soft and delicate if I am in my writing mode addressing issues at the construction site. You can't predict what will happen if I'm too soft and gentle. I must turn on a strict and sharp supervisor mode when I talk to the construction crew. Then I can comprehend their questions and respond to them adequately and according to their rhythm. Imagine if I return to my book in the rigorous rhythm of the previous conversation. What kind of chapters will I write? People don't notice it and ignore it. They think it doesn't matter, but specific codes and elements exist on different rhythms. When you are in your working mode, adhere to it. Even if you know that my new chapter was released at 3 p.m., postpone reading until you get into my book's rhythm. When you are at work, you stay focused on it till 6 p.m. Then you have dinner, and then use your designated time for your personal activities like journaling or some hobby. Tune into the frequency of creativity that inspires you and turns on your awareness. Then you can write your diaries or immerse into the world of my books and read the new chapter that came out. Then you will be able to perceive the information correctly. If you read it at work, you will not understand it. There is a particular time for every activity. For instance, Imagine a friend texting me when I am purchasing some heavy machinery and I am busy with purchase logistics. So I get a personal message from a friend who lives in New York and writes a book. The message says she saw me in her dream last night and I was running with unicorns. I am on a hectic rhythm of closing a business deal. I am somewhere in the port unloading a container with a tractor, and I read her message. What would my reaction be? I might text her back that her dream is a bunch of nonsense. This is how I would react. The above explains why you feel insane mood swings. You react without thinking, say something wrong, and do something impulsively. I used to be startled by the messages I received from people who followed me on social media. A person would write about how he loves my books and is in awe of me. Then the same person would write to me later about how he hates me. He was going through unfavorable circumstances that influenced his mood and negatively perceived my books then. Then something pleasant and nice happened to him, and he is in a sentimental mood and he writes to me again about how my books touched his heart and that he loves me so much. I am giving you an example of unstable and chaotic behavior caused by circumstances that influence people. Do you see how dangerous people's reactions can be? Sick and desperate people surround us. This is normal, and this is how we people are. If I didn't control my emotions, I would be the same. An order is essential. You must set the rules and build boundaries. When you are working, you should not be thinking about your hobbies. For example, you can't be shopping online for a new guitar if you are a musician. You won't choose the right guitar because you are not in the proper mode. You are at work at the office. This is a crazy mistake. People think they feel better when they check social media and messengers occasionally. A pic on Instagram, a couple of text messages, or some online shopping makes it easier for a person to carry through the day. I checked, but it doesn't work this way. I am shocked when I write to people during work hours and they respond, "Are you serious? If I were your boss, I would not allow it." People at work discuss memes and spend time chatting online. What is there to chat about? The weather? Summer vacations? You are at the office. Where is your respect for the company and the management? People don't care. They just sit through the work hours and get their paycheck. You can't do it. Do you think you hacked the system if you created a comfort zone and relaxed there during work? That is why everything is collapsing now. When you are at work, you must concentrate on work tasks and forget about your hobbies and family. You must stay in work mode and communicate only with people in the same rhythm. Then everything is all right and in order. What's next? After work, a person must return to a mode of home or family. Imagine you are still in the rhythm of work, which requires concentration and consolidation of attention. Imagine going home feeling like a hot wire with all that tension of the work mode. You come home to your big family. Imagine a family with many family members, parents and grandparents. In addition to that, you had an uneasy day and felt agitated. You bring the atmosphere of a harsh work rhythm to your family and may negatively react to your parents or spouse. Your family members are in a relaxed home mood. They are having dinner or watching TV. They may ask you a silly question, and you might react inadequately. You might snap and yell. Many casual conflicts happen because of that. When you keep behaving this way, it will ruin your family. I also noticed that sometimes people come home from work with heavy energy, and another household member catches the vibration. You come home from work in a heavy mood, but don't talk to anyone. You keep your negative feelings inside, but someone sensitive starts acting up and creating drama. He is not arguing directly with you, but maybe with someone else. So whenever you come home from work, some commotion begins. It happens because a sensitive relative catches and transmits the negative energy you brought from work. Now you understand why sometimes someone comes to your house and creates an unhealthy atmosphere. He is not in direct conflict with anyone, but he conveys a negative vibe into a space and others start fighting. You must dispose of all negative emotions and thoughts before coming home to keep peace and harmony. The key to understanding this subject is disconnecting from one rhythm and connecting to another. The transition is happening step by step. I'm not talking about resetting to zero. I'm talking about building boundaries. For example, you may go to the gym after work, meditate, or visit a temple. It is important to blow off the steam between work and home. After you disconnect from work frequently, you must connect to the frequency of home. You may listen to soft music, something cozy and homey. The frequency of family is the same everywhere. Every family has the same rhythm. Some are closer to it and some are farther. You know this frequency from the movies and your childhood. When a person returns from work, his home must be free from work-related elements. There must be a contrast between the modalities, and it supports awareness and clear consciousness. It is beneficial when you can discuss your work or hobbies with your family. People mistakenly think they must share everything with their parents and family, which often ruins relationships. I saw mistakes people make when they feel that if they can't talk about work or hobbies with their family, then they don't need a family. It is wrong, and this misunderstanding comes from diminishing boundaries. A family is a separate world. One must miss it, enjoy it, and guard it from work and social activities. Imagine you are creating an escape room and getting into a room that represents a family atmosphere. What elements should it have? Imagine that you are a movie director or a producer. You are making a movie and working on a scene about family. What will you put into a room to design a family atmosphere? There should be pets, a dog, a cat, or a parrot. The house must look and feel homey. The interior should be cozy and inviting. I am not a fan of current trends in modern interiors that emphasize an industrial and cold feel. Concrete walls and huge windows floor to ceiling? This is a trend imposed by primitive people who claim themselves to be interior designers and architects. It is an outdated look, and some people are keen on it. This is not a homey atmosphere. It is a cave, cold and minimalistic. The vibe is not suitable for family ambience and impacts people negatively. It is suitable for other activities but not for a family home. If you choose to live in an industrial-style house or apartment, your family relationship will suffer. No coach who positions himself as a relationship guru will tell you this because he has no idea about anything like everyone else. The elements of the family house should be homey. The space should hug and soothe you. There might be a library and a lot of photos and family memorabilia. If people have kids, there should be toys and books. The house should smell of food. You may organize a home office or a designated desk if you have space. You can see it in the movies, especially from the 2000s. They show how people live a good and correct life there. To keep the relationship strong, a family must have dinner or breakfast rituals and eat together. Cooking together is also a good habit and a feng shui. It is very binding. There should be specific topics that family members talk about. Families can watch old National Geographic episodes about birds or history. Kind and family-oriented movies and shows are proper for the home atmosphere. One must take care of the house and do the chores. Walk the dog, do house repairs, pick up a child from the daycare, and solve puzzles together. All these activities are a part of the family rituals and connect a person to a home mode. When you stay connected to it, your attention gets a healthy workout and stays focused and robust. When you are with the family, stay wholly involved in family activities and avoid discussing business and hobby matters. You can play board games, collect puzzles together, and discuss what kind of toaster you should buy. When you are with your loved ones, focus on common interests. If your mind is boiling with thoughts about work and your spouse asks you about a new multi-cooker, you will hate your spouse because you are not on the same rhythm. It is that simple. When your body is with your family, but your mind is not present, you are not in tune with your close and beloved and disconnected from them. I received thousands of letters asking me to discuss this issue and give advice and practical solutions. People are complaining that they don't feel their partner. People are psychologically absent. The physical body is there, but the mind is floundering. Readers ask me for help and beg to write articles about this topic and record videos on YouTube. People have been experiencing it for the past 10 years, and the situation has rapidly progressed within the last 3 years. Families that spend quality time together stay together. Anyone willing to improve his attention skills can do it. There are tools, and I am happy to share them with you. Every person has a variety of different worlds. For example, work is one of the worlds as a separate rhythm. A family is another rhythm, another world. Parents, grandparents, and cousins are also a different world, and spending time with them is fantastic. When you visit them, be genuinely involved in their interests and stay present. Friend circle is another world. You immerse into that rhythm when you spend time with friends and do activities together. It is crucial to have all these separate worlds and switch between them. When you travel between rhythms, alternating the focus points from one world to another, your attention strengthens and becomes sharp and advanced. You become superconscious, a superhuman. Conscious people can hold a lot of information in their attention simultaneously. They remember and monitor the renovation of their vacation house in Italy, a meeting hour for coffee with friends in New York, and family matters in St. Petersburg. The transitional shifts from one modality to another stimulate the mind, promote physical and psychological health and well-being, and prevent early aging. People suffer from early aging nowadays. Many young people get diagnosed with various mental disorders. It happens because they don't experience the dynamic of switching attention between the rhythms. A young person is stuck on one rhythm and age rapidly. What is aging? A person slowly settles down in a comfort zone. He is mostly at home and remains in a certain rhythm. He has activities within the rhythm, but doesn't alternate modes anymore. He is retired and spends his time in the same routine every day. He goes to the same store and same pharmacy every day. His mind operates in one modality all the time. Let's call it the 235 frequency. He is permanently there, and all his actions and thoughts are in that rhythm. I am talking about a problem when a person loses memory and stops feeling space and time. People can avoid mental dysfunctions like dementia if they practice active transitions between different modes. This is a fact. The statistics show that people who stay physically and mentally active stay younger and healthier for much longer than those who retire early and carry a monotonous lifestyle. You can see it if you observe people who became mentally deficient and those who did not. People who remain active in several opposite rhythms at any age maintain healthy perception and acute attention. For example, a lady is a dean at school. She has work, family, and responsibilities. She switches her attention between her household and the energetic and full of events school atmosphere. She is active and sharp and simultaneously holds many tasks to her attention. She communicates with colleges and mischievous children and balances work with family duties. Naturally, this lady will stay young and mentally healthy. She will have a clear mind and sharp focus. Some might have thought you needed to run away from your relatives. This is dumb. Please hear me on this. People who have an opportunity to experience multiple worlds are blessed. If I want my mind to stay robust and advanced, if I want to stay young as long as possible, and if I want my productivity to remain high, I use the opportunity to visit my relatives and switch my rhythm to theirs. Go to a family barbecue. Connect to that rhythm and enjoy it. The more one dives into the various rhythms, the better. Then you disconnect from it and entirely connect to the frequency of your work. This is a healthy rotation. Our lives are fuller when we travel between the worlds of frequencies. I practice it regularly, and even though I dedicate a significant amount of time to my writing, I still switch the rhythms as much as possible. I was in one mode, and then I disconnected from all elements of that world and connected my attention to a different world. preferably of the opposite rhythm. The contrast is essential. For example, writing books and playing chess online are similar modes, and the distinction is not dramatic. For instance, if you are an IT engineer and you spend a lot of time sitting at your desk alone and working on your computer, you must engage in an opposite activity after work, like rock climbing or hiking. You must create contrasts like a universe of different worlds and travel between them. A person must feel and observe the boundaries between the worlds. For example, let's discuss Instagram. Of course, it is your choice to have it. As I mentioned, there are worlds of work, family, and hobbies. It is possible to create several Instagram accounts for each rhythm, but most people have one. When a person has one Instagram account, it may be confusing for him to decide which of the worlds to dedicate it to. It is also one of the problems that people come across with. Not everyone has a diverse life, but most have a family, work, and hobbies. Some people use Instagram for social life networking, while others keep it work-related. It is preferable to keep an Instagram account oriented to one particular frequency. The more you build and live by the boundaries you create, the better. If you keep your Instagram page personal, it should be discreet from work colleagues and business partners. It is wise to separate private life and business affairs. If your Instagram page is mostly family-oriented, keep it private from your colleagues. Your colleagues should not be seeing you in your pajamas. Some people have separate work and personal phones, which is also very good. Most people are easily influenced and make conclusions based on their angle of perception. When an employee sees his boss on social media in a casual, informal home atmosphere, he might perceive him as a buddy and act accordingly in the workspace, which might be inappropriate and insubordinate in certain circumstances. Of course, they may say it doesn't matter, we do respect you anyway, but they don't belong to themselves. If you have a personal account where you post your entire family, all distant relatives, babies in diaper, and barbecue nights, keep it closed from strangers. It should be about the family, for the family. If your Instagram is work-oriented and you use it for business networking, keep it only for communicating with colleagues and business partners, separate from your private life and relatives. It is good to draw a line and keep private life and work in order. When visiting relatives in their country home, immerse fully in that atmosphere, enjoy and explore their world. Think of it as an amusement park, and you are a child. Be open and accepting of the conversations, music, and activities that you experience in that world. Enjoy the food your relatives offer you, keep up with the topics everyone discusses, and dive deep into the frequency of the atmosphere. Each frequency has its own atmosphere and soundtrack. When you are in the dinosaur world, it has music that reminds you of the jungle. When you visit your family, there should be a smell of homemade food. There is a good and correct system. Don't resist it. Do not refuse the food your relatives made for you because you are on some fancy diet. You may have some strict and personalized diet prescribed by professional nutritionists embedded in his everyday routine. However, there is so much false information about dietary norms nowadays. So many imposters endorse themselves as health coaches and make up trendy diets that may harm people. I never trust newbies on the internet who promote some fad diets with no legitimate studies behind them. People don't talk much about the dangerous side effects of the experimental restrictions, and many of the pseudo-coaches just pretend to have a healthy and holistic lifestyle. People promote questionable products that have not passed any studies or research. Miracle pills flooded the internet, and it is crucial to do your research and consult with a reliable specialist before putting one's health in danger. I don't follow any diets. I eat bread and drink Coke sometimes. I keep everything in the correct balance. I have the dynamics of transition between frequencies and I feel alive. I am alive and I feel boundaries. Being alive is what matters the most. If you approach something artificially like a robot, you will inevitably feel sick later. It is okay to eat a bunch of homemade dumplings on a Saturday night when you visit your relatives. It is just one day. For the rest of the week, you will follow your diet. After disconnecting from that world, you will return to your regular schedule. When you travel between worlds, be a respectful guest. You need to be more universal. And what would I tell people who indulge their whims and experiment with novelty diets? A slight shift from their regular diet might cause turbulence. This is not a balanced lifestyle. When you feel and observe the bounds of the modes and mindfully perform the shifts between them, your life is rich and multifaceted. Approach every step with an open and conscious outlook. When diving into a particular world, respect that modality's elements and specific details. Be curious and flexible. Feel the enjoyment and gratification when playing silly games with the children or running with the dog. It is awesome to discuss the details of the home renovation with your spouse or prepare a holiday meal together. Abstract from work Instagram accounts on weekends when you are with your family. Your family foundation is built on healthy and mindful relationships, and attentive dedication will keep and cultivate it for many more years. Self-proclaimed coaches and gurus mislead people. They know nothing about authentic relationships. They just repeat someone's thoughts and brazenly promote themselves. Do you think they really know what they're talking about? Most of them just play roles, making money on people who trust them. They aim not to help or educate, but to deceive and defraud. Seeing brazen advertisements of services and courses that promise miracles is disturbing. Scammers use people's naivety, trustfulness, and inability to separate the wheat from the chaff. But their time is ending. The truth will come to light and justice will be restored. Open your eyes and wake up. I'm here, authentic and alive. Probably you remember your old childhood friends who you could talk to about anything. I am that person. I am still here. I escaped the greedy attacks of cruel society and the internet. I can speak openly and sincerely to you like you used to talk to your friends. But it is not valuable anymore. Artificial is replacing authentic. The main enemy that you let in your life is the internet, where you watch some strangers' lives. It is hard even to imagine what I am trying to say. It is not for everyone, but I'm ready to refuse all money and all opportunities to feel like a child again. I just want to watch old movies, draw doodles on the floor, and collect beetles. I don't want to know if there is another blockbuster coming out in theaters. I don't care if another reality show star broke up with her boyfriend because he cheated on her with another girl. Why are they showing it to us? Why do we need to know? There is a month left in my schedule to finish my books. Then it will be my birthday on September 12, and I will stop worrying about any of these topics. I used to dive into society to understand how to deal with it. When you are a young boy, you must go through the growth stages to adapt to society. I finally reached a level where I don't need to know anymore. I don't want to know who fights for political power and where. I don't want to know who had a car accident or raped someone. I don't want to see the news. I will no longer know any of that. Even if we don't watch the news and social media, our friends and acquaintances will find a way to reach out and deliver some unsolicited information to us. Even if I find old discs with downloaded shows and scientific documentaries, the dirty news will find a way to sneak on you. I will exclude any possibility of it from now on. I will do everything to restrict access to me. Even if someone sends a letter to my employee saying that he will be eaten alive or lose a pinky, she won't be able to pass it to me because she will have no connection with me. I will have peace of mind then because there is a sense of responsibility when the connection exists. When people know that you are available, you are free. When you don't have a phone, people can't complain that you read their message and didn't respond. Then you are free from the world, and the world has nothing to do with you. When your attention is entirely free, you can see every leaf and every flower and be happy as a child. You appreciate every God's creature and are in awe of His creativity. You collect 3 leaves and 3 flowers and gather information about them. You research the origin of the name of the flowers, the date when it was first mentioned, and where. You collect the information in a notebook and record the name and the date when you found it. Then you continue to research further. This is a wonderful life full of miracles and adventures. You don't need money to live like this. You can have any kind of work, but the internet distorts everything. You are unhappy that you and your spouse both work because you see flashy lifestyles online. Why does what you do for work matter? As long as it provides for your family and pays the bills, you don't need anything else. You are obsessed with things that others have. This is dumb. I will tell you that the system, God, or something else limits you just enough for you to stay human and not turn into an angry animal. I couldn't ever be friends with the rich and famous. People think this lifestyle interests me, but on the contrary, I make fun of them in all my books. My closest people were always very simple and humble people. I will never forget a comment from one of my acquaintances who said, "You have money and fame. You can be friends with the top of the elite. Why do you surround yourself with some gnomes and trolls?" I told her that I couldn't talk to successful people. When she asked me why, I told her they have different values and interests. I can't speak to people who talk about branded clothes and villas in Bali. There is no life in these people and such conversations. I like creative, artsy, and real people. I appreciate them for being honest and alive. Their social status is irrelevant to me. The value of people has no price tags. We live in a society that tries to label everyone based on income or the number of followers on a profile. I'm doing the opposite. I'm not a part of that. This is my life. This is the real me. I wrote many books and they will be published gradually. This is great and I want them to be published, but I don't want any public and social life. I don't want to make videos like I did when I was young. Nowadays, YouTube videos have become a shameless circus. What I want to do is to take long walks with my camera, as I have done since I was a kid. I love collecting music according to my moods and emotions. This is wonderful, and I enjoy doing it. Collecting is one of my passions, and I will talk about the importance of organizing collections by category. Collecting helped me to stay focused and concentrate my attention. I noticed a long time ago that people engaged in collecting maintain their attention focused. Collecting means outlining and defining items by type. This activity helps to see the boundaries in other spheres of life. I started collecting music at the age of 15 and told people back then that every music was a soundtrack for me. I assigned the tracks to various categories, but not by conventional genre approach. I divided them into groups according to their moods and emotions. I noticed that certain music creates a desire to travel. Another track connects you to the inspirational mode. By putting music into different emotional classifications, I define the different worlds. Order must be everywhere. To start a path to clarity and conscious living, one must organize their life. You can begin from home and organize your books and clothes. Create categories and divide clothes and books into collections. You might feel temporary tension in your mind, but it is normal because you are performing a task that requires concentrated attention. You can categorize your clothes into sporty and formal by colors and seasons. Clothes should be organized and sorted. It is the same with music, books, pictures, and materials I use for work. I have a separate category for scientific materials where I keep information about semiconductors and robots and everything related to technology. Imagine how crazy I am. I spent many years gathering and studying research materials. I peculiarly arrange photos, audio and video recordings, articles, and other materials. When you have everything organized, imagine how cool it will be to immerse in it wholly and later dissolve your attention into it. When building my countryside property, I surrounded myself with all possible elements that could enhance its frequency. How could I build a farm if I am not connected to a frequency of country-style living? I connected to the mode of farmland by watching movies and shows about ranches and even some video games. I looked up and researched all kinds of farms worldwide and how they looked in past centuries and now. I dug for information about types of housing construction in the countryside, breeds of dogs that usually live on the farm, and types of trucks. I collected details about farm outfits and music to connect to that world. I researched everything about farms in the past and modern times. I collected the elements to connect to that frequency and was completely immersed in it. It is the same as wanting to make a movie about the farm or write country music. I must connect to the frequency of the farm first. If I am on the frequency of a city boy, how can I make a movie about a farm? It will turn out lame. People don't pay as much attention to these details as they should. I have people in my life who live in parallel worlds and never cross paths. It was my birthday recently, and I spent it in total solitude. I never celebrate my birthdays in the conventional way anyway. But this time I just turned off my phone and stayed home all by myself. Why did I do that? I knew spending that day thinking and analyzing would be more productive and efficient. Usually people celebrate their birthdays with food and drinks, accepting celebratory texts and phone calls. I used that day to focus on myself and turn my attention inside this time. It was a perfect moment to make decisions, and I used it to think about some important topics. It was a moment of solitariness that was very fruitful and rewarding. You will have many questions after reading my research stories. I told you that there are dress codes and boundaries for everything. Now let's talk about social circles and the people surrounding you. This is what I noticed a long time ago. I have friends from various layers of society. One circle of my friends are kind, nerdy, and bizarre gnomes and trolls. Seriously, I'm intentionally describing them in a way that draws the contrast and outlines the boundaries. This is a matter of attention control. My other group consists of posh and trendy socialites. If you gather the two groups together, it will create a commotion. The gnomes will feel uncomfortable. They are not used to a glamorous lifestyle and will feel shy. The second group might boast about their achievements, even if their accomplishments are exaggerated and questionable. They do it because showing off and bragging are common and acceptable in modern society. So, these two worlds will clash because they are parallel and never intersect. Therefore, it is better to have two separate gatherings, one with your modest and shy friends and another with your social network group. I appreciate humble and honest people in my life. They are the ones you have to cherish the most. You have had them since your childhood. Find them if you lost them. It doesn't matter if they are not fashionable or look weird and not trendy. They didn't sell their soul to the devil. The opposite is the world of rich and beautiful. People from that group are driven by novelty and vogue. They usually appear in your life in high school and college. Maybe you have a different experience and I'm sharing mine because I'm a person of a particular type. These people have a completely different world and different values. They consume trends dictated by social media. They prefer activities that look attractive and Instagram-able. So, there are two opposite worlds, and you should feel the distinct difference. There were times in the past when I shut down or had periods when I became cold. It happened when I was going through a difficult time or felt hurt and misunderstood. Something might throw you off emotionally, and your heart might shut down for a day, a week, or even longer. I noticed that I enjoyed hanging out with people from the posh material world during those times. I was young and didn't realize that my heart shuts down even more when I do it. When my heart opened again, I wanted to be around people with open hearts. I was drawn to the ugly and the penniless gnomes. You can use it as a marker to evaluate which frequency you are connected to at the given time. You can check and decide which world you want to connect to. If I shut down for some reason and become cold and materialistic, I can use my connection of elements from the frequency of heart and soul to reconnect. There is a special playlist, my lucky t-shirt, and my warm-hearted, whimsical, gnome friends on that frequency. When I listen to that music and wear a t-shirt, I disconnect from the angry rhythm, open my heart, and see everything from a completely different level of perception. My heart will come alive, and I will look at my Instagram and be shocked by what kind of content I posted on it when I was shut. I will be disgusted by it and delete everything at once. We all are in different stages of personal development and experience the impact of the various frequencies. People go through phases depending on their mental progress and age. Some younger people might not know what I'm talking about. People experience turbulence and the dynamics of moving back and forth during the change. It is normal as long as you comprehend the process and see the pros and cons of each of the worlds. I started writing a book about frequencies and attention in 2010. I have controlled everything since then and traveled various frequencies throughout that time. Imagine, for example, a person from a prosperous family in a situation where his attention disconnects from his usual stable world and connects to another person on a different layer of society. This new person lives in a different world with a particular scenario and fate. If his frequency is dark and a series of unfortunate events follow that person throughout his life, that frequency might be contagious. When you hang out with someone who is always in trouble, gets into accidents, and whose world is hostile and aggressive, you might tune into that frequency and experience the same events. I noticed that in my own experience. Sometimes I could have troubles and problems in life just because I met someone. The person is not evil, and he doesn't mean any harm. He just lives in that kind of world that has a specific scenario. I also observed the opposite effect. People noticed that when they are with me for a long time, they get large orders, unexpected income, win the lottery, and all of their issues are resolved. When that happens for the 10th time, they realize that I am the reason behind the fortunate chain of events. I also met people whose world is abundant and giving. If you hang out with them, you connect to that frequency of good luck and feel confidence, positive attitudes, and your best qualities turn on. When you are around that kind of person for some time, you feel the same and operate in the same mood. But when you disconnect from that person and immerse into a world of sinful people who have constant problems, you connect to his frequency and your perception changes. But when you disconnect from that person and immerse into a world of sinful people who have constant problems, you connect to their frequency and your perception changes. You start experiencing the emotion of the dark world and your darkest vices activate. Your perception changes depending on the frequency you connect to, and you go through the scenarios and experiences of each world. This is how attention works. I will share some new information now and then continue with the Q&A. During the past couple of months, I have been researching the topic of substances, alcohol, and drugs. The question is, how bad is it, and is it allowed or not? Here is the conclusion I made recently. A person consumes alcohol today and tomorrow and smokes every day. This is bad. These habits are related to people's attention. If you do the same thing every day, it supports one particular rhythm. You are in the comfort zone, and comfort zones create dependencies. It turns out that you are always in the rhythm of drinking and smoking, and not in the rhythm of work, family, or hobby. Those who will understand it and take it seriously will move 100 steps forward in their evolutionary progress. You can occasionally get drunk at a party with friends. It is okay when you do it sometimes, say once in a month, not every day. You don't notice it at all. Imagine yourself on a family frequency where you are a mom or a dad. and you drink and smoke. This doesn't belong to a good family scenario. As the director of this movie, you will see that this is a mistake. You may ask me, what about work? I am against all unhealthy habits. I think that a person who lacks energy to begin with smokes and drinks in addition to it is a total moron. It is your personal right and choice. Understandably, people may have bad habits. If you insist that the frequency of your profession includes alcohol and cigarettes, then it's okay. It is all right if you only do it at work and don't bring that frequency home. But you should not mix the components of different worlds. When you are with your family, you are a family man and adhere to the homey frequency. When you are in your creative zone, you are in the inspirational frequency of arts. If you think that you have a type of work where you should drink and smoke in your creative mode, no. You can't mix elements of different modes. You have to choose. You either drink and smoke when you work or when you are in your creativity. Choose one and stick to it. I understand that you may have questions about this subject, and that's why I'm explaining it ahead of time. Naturally, it is better to stay away from unhealthy habits. It is better to quit drinking and smoking if you want to control your attention, be healthy, and have a good memory. Remove everything addictive from your life. Another alarming trend is that young adults are addicted to antidepressants and grow dependent on therapy. They are proud of it and brag about it. This is a disaster. People say it is related to stress. I think if a person is young, he must do anything to avoid it. You are young, and it is normal that you have mood swings and transitions between ranges of emotions. Everyone goes through it, and I did too. Antidepressants became a trend, and many people got addicted to them, while there are natural and holistic ways to go through different seasons of life. Now it has become a trend. People indulge in talking about it and share which pills he or she uses. Drugs are drugs, illegal or prescribed. They burn people's brains, harm the psyche, and blur boundaries. People suffer from abstraction and numbness. Some become dangerous and may attack you and the people around you. Their psyche is chemically altered. Some people need medical treatment and prescribed medication. They are professionally diagnosed by psychiatrists and capable of harming themselves and others. However, most people who seek remedies for mental disorders nowadays are emotional people, young, sensitive people who are going through wavy ventures of life. They feel mood swings because they spend too much time browsing social media feeds. When one constantly scrolls the display, he will inevitably feel depressed and disappointed. This is foolishness. Depression, panic attacks, and stagnation are the consequences of internet overuse. People are easily triggered and have immediate reactions to any provocation. They see a scratch on their phone screen and are ready to attack you with a knife. Just imagine how that impacts the growing generation. It is a catastrophe. Keep in mind that people who are prone to addictions are also prone to drug abuse. Statistically, many of them are women. They are not only addicted to pills, but also love watching shows about it. They love talking about disease and conditions. They are afraid of death and ready to take anything. This is a tendency that is common for a frequency of idleness. You may take something calming once or twice a year when something really happens. Something serious, if you witness your neighbor's house burned, then of course some soothing medication will help. But people abuse it by taking it every time they hear disturbing news on TV that was fabricated and imposed on them. Most use it to stay in their comfort zone and escape the transition between the frequencies. When you do that, you are absent everywhere, in your family, at work, everywhere. Gradually and surely, you will become mentally deficient. The past 3 years were terrifying. Some survived the stress by using sedative medications which caused degrading consequences. The pressure was caused by the horrendous news that flooded the media. But the paradox is that no one forces people to watch the news 24/7 and damage their psyche this way. People drive themselves crazy by indulging in TV and social media that disperse panic and despair and then seek refuge in medications. If they would stop watching the news, they would keep their psyche balanced and unharmed. Many people have fallen into the trap, and it is difficult to break the chain. This is dangerous for every person as well as on a large scale. I prefer to collect my beetles to keep my safety. The danger is spreading in society. So if a person has no opportunity to call you or talk to you, it is safer for you. What is happening now is moving to a disastrous end. Naturally, there will be a change of route, and everything will change for the better. There is always a fall before a rise and a rise before a fall. Some time ago, people were conservative and closed-minded, and now people are selling themselves online. It is a trend now. Later, people will shift back to their shells. I'm telling you directly about it because I always try to be one step ahead. People didn't get burned yet. Everyone learns from their mistakes, and that's how everyone grows. Everything that happens serves the goals of self-development. Question: can you please explain the details of the process that happens when one's attention goes back to his body? Why do wounds heal, but a new finger cannot grow back even when you are on a different level of evolution? It is nonsense that everything is possible. There are laws of nature. We are all the same humans and live in one society. I don't know anyone with a finger cut off and growing back. It is not impossible, but not in our reality. Anyone in our dimension would agree that a cut finger will not grow back. So it is true in our world, and we all know we must take care of our fingers because they don't grow back. That's how the laws of nature are set up here. For example, humans have primary, deciduous teeth that emerge after a baby is born and fall out when the child is about 6. Adult teeth replace baby teeth and stay permanent. Why do permanent teeth replace primary teeth? I was always pondering these questions in my mind. Why is one flower red and another pink? Why do the flowers have petals? Why is the grass green? These are not random silly questions. It is better to consider questions like these instead of discussing political news or celebrity scandals. The focus of your concentrated attention defines your mood and health. Deep thinking about what color the grass is makes me wiser and spiritually stronger. It makes me resilient to provocations. I have been practicing it for a long time and I am emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically stable. I feel myself more clearly and my concentration is high. My productivity is superb in all areas of my life. However, as soon as I participate in primitive conversations about shallow topics, I feel noise and numbness in my mind. Even the subject of discussion determines the frequency. When you are in a creative process, talk about creative matters. When you are with a family, be interested in family values. When you are at work, discuss work-related subjects. Guard the boundaries between the worlds. If you have a family and kids, create a circle with other families with kids. Hang out with the parents of your kids' friends. Create a world where you have other couples, families with kids, and relatives. This is how you make and support a family frequency. You may have single friends outside of family, at work, or in your social circle, but don't mix the crowds. Keep the world of family protected from the elements of the outside world. A single girl looking for a relationship or a guy obsessed with work is out of place in the foundation of your family circle and creates unnecessary commotion. If you decide to start a family and work in your relationship, stay away from the temptations of the single life. A choice of clothes and habits play a crucial role. When you are family-oriented, you must look like a family person and have a corresponding lifestyle. You must look like a family person and attend places with the same frequency. What happens to people who start families but keep the habits they had as single people? If they go out a lot in the same rhythm as before, they have a significant chance of divorcing in a year or two. You don't need clairvoyance to predict it. It is a simple observation of causes and consequences. Don't listen to pseudo-therapists who fool you. They picked some materials here and there and didn't understand the essence of things. They read some books and conveyed their interpretations to you. But who wrote those books? People like me. They were the first ones who made scientific discoveries. Those who repeat information online don't make any discoveries themselves. Their souls are in a much lower stage of development than yours. They have no morals. All they can do is repeat some articles and chapters from some textbooks. You don't need a clean soul for it either. Ignorance is leading people towards the darkness. Attention plays a significant role in health and the body. The finger will not grow back, but restoring mental and physical health is possible by working on your attention control. I will explain one of the reasons why people get burned out and get sick. For example, a person is stuck on one frequency, which is work. His attention is fully there and his mind is always boiling. When he is at home, he is mentally absent. Even when he goes on vacation with his family, his physical body changes places, but his awareness does not. He moves physically, but not psychologically. However, psychological motion is more important than physical. If the psyche is stagnant in one spot, both mind and body begin to deteriorate. A person begins to decay when his attention is jammed in one place. It may be a nagging thought, an old resentment, or an addiction. A person's attention is focused on one thought or habit for 24 hours, no matter what he's doing and where he is. His unsettling mind is always on the same subject whenever he is at work or with his relatives. His attention is not here and now, but on some regret of something past or an old grudge. When your attention is stolen, you are slowly decaying. The good news is that you don't need memory or a miracle to clean yourself from troubling thoughts. Whatever you have done in the past, you can cleanse. You can turn your mind off past sins and regrets. People complain that they don't have money. There are many free tools to purify the mind. Meditations, prayers, and abstinence are available for everyone and don't need a prescription. Accepting a clean and holistic lifestyle is not only free of charge, but also fruitful. It actually will help you to save money. Your productivity will grow, and you can achieve anything with a clear, strong heart and mindset. It is challenging to give up something that has been going on for decades and break unhealthy habits, but you have a chance to break free. No one will give you a chance to pivot, and no one will remind you but me. What will happen when the effect of this reminder expires? This sinful society is waiting for you eagerly. All those demons and energy vampires were missing you and ready to jump on you. "Where are you, my dear?" they howl. And here you are, reading my book. But tomorrow, you go back to reality, and they are right there. Well, alas. What else can I say about attention? Keep your attention under control and don't go to extremes. Some people are fanatically obsessed with their health. I was never particularly obsessed with health because everything must be in moderation. If you focus your attention on your body and take care of it, naturally you will feel better and live longer. I don't do anything specifically for it. When you keep your awareness focused on yourself, your health is automatically under control. When you enter the rhythms of family and hobbies while you are still in work mode, and your mind is obsessed with work matters and always sizzling, your health deteriorates. When I rest after work, then connect to the frequency of home, then reset again and connect to the rhythm of work, then I maintain a healthy rotation. A point of assembly between major modes is a point of zero when you rest yourself. It is a point of nullification, a pivotal key in the correct transition between the frequencies. Point zero is a transitional station between two destinations. Every frequency has its speed. The speed of work is super fast, and the speed of home is slow and mellow. Also, each frequency has its own characteristic. Some are rough and some are tender. When you reset between them, you come to a neutral point. When you are in a zero state of mind, you are deep in yourself and not connected to anything. Once you train yourself to stop and reset between the modalities, you will gain clarity and awareness. The reset point of zero is where you feel yourself and understand that you are here and now and you are constant. You understand that who you are at work is not you, and who you are in the family is not you either. You are your true self at the point of zero. You are zero, and it is essential to catch and feel the state when you have time. You are as zero after deep diving into work or creative processes. It is like holding your breath and focusing on yourself before starting a new activity. You can meditate, read a prayer, write notes in your diary, or listen to one track repeatedly and sit still. At this point, you are a zero. Zero is a separate frequency, a point of assembly, and a feeling of being here and now. It is the fundamental practice to keep your life in order mentally, physically, and socially. It is a feeling of yourself here and now. This is the secret of everything. There is another mistake I have seen people make. I saw many articles that connect health to sleep cycles. Indeed, rest and sleep are vital. And I had a revelation. Life gives me information gradually. It is essential to turn off your mind before you go to bed. If you go to bed with your mind connected to some frequency and your brain is active, you won't sleep. It is the same scenario as going on vacation with your mind connected to the work rhythm. Your physical body is here, but your mind is not. You are not resting. When you are going to bed with your sizzling mind, you are not sleeping. You think you do, but your body is not recharging and not rejuvenating. Use the state of zero before you go to bed. Some people need more time to reset and nullify their mindset completely. If a person works till late, he will have difficulty falling asleep. He might require 2 to 3 hours to reset and calm down if he is not using special techniques to quiet his mind. Your thoughts will naturally unwind, but it takes time, and you are tossing and turning till 5 in the morning. Ideally, one must organize time so he doesn't have work and business-related activities before bed. You need to calm down your mind and turn it off in society. Disconnecting from the outside world after work and assigning time for spiritual practices and solitude is very beneficial. You may dedicate time before bed to do something relaxing. Set aside time after dinner. If you have a family dinner around 7 or 8, you can immerse yourself in creative or spiritual practices from 9 to 11 or midnight. You may draw, paint, or write. Read something spiritual or philosophical and write a diary. This way, the focus of your attention transitions to your body, and your mind is ready to reset and rest. For me, it is happening mystically. I don't go on social media before bed and don't listen to music. I go to bed and let my body immerse in a voluminous flow of energy, like a warm bath. It wraps around my whole body, and I surrender to it. It was very unusual at first, and I feel better and better each day. Of course, I am a human like you, and I had times when I didn't have a chance to rest every day. I noticed a significant difference in my mental state when I broke the rules and missed a few days. My mind was on a rhythm of work or business affairs, and I didn't reset it. I immediately felt that I was lowering my mental capacity and losing awareness. I realized that I must take control and adjust my attention. If you let it slide and wait till Friday, you might quickly go downhill. You can't do that, seriously. Your mental clarity and psychological health are more important than any money. My mental state is more critical for me than anything. Some people think that I might launch some extraordinary and grand new business, maybe a restaurant or something else. I won't do that. Naturally, I don't go to the extremes. I have responsibilities, relatives, and close people for whom I am responsible. I won't just drop all my duties up to the point that I can't pay mortgages, credit cards, and rents I pay for people I care for. Everything must be in moderation. I think the excess desire to have money is wrong. Extra money is bad. It is excellent when it's just enough. Just enough to resist the temptation to buy some unnecessary stuff. You paid your rent, mortgage, car, food, and other necessities. There are always some unexpected expenses, like a car repair or something else. The paradox is that people complain about it when in fact, if you live like this, you are a happy person. If you have a life like this, you are happy and real. Question. I notice that when I concentrate on something for a long time without distraction, I get into an alerted state of mind. My head becomes heavy and I feel that my body is floating. When I notice that, the condition disappears. Can you please advise how to control this state and go in and out of it consciously? Okay, you really went quite far. People have issues with how to concentrate on a family or switch to a vacation mode, and you are asking about things like this? But let's talk about it. There is nothing abnormal or supernatural about it, even though the question sounds intriguing and paranormal. It is common for hypersensitive people. Creative people often can experience an altered state of mind when fully immersed in their rhythm. Their rhythm is kind and gentle and belongs to the frequency of the heart. People from that frequency are shy and feel uneasy in large gatherings. They may feel intimidated and tend to stay quiet. They often feel dizzy and outspaced. It is common among shy children. I was born like this. My mom thought I was sick at first, and she consulted many doctors about my condition. The specialists at the Brain Research Institute ran tests and told us that I was okay. I'm just an imaginative and creative person who can fully concentrate on writing music, for example, and forget to eat. Later, I found out that all people like this are real, and it was before the venal internet took over everyone, and all you see is fake. I must mention it, because watching how falseness dominates reality is devastating. I can describe my feelings when I'm in the creative process of going into space. This is how I always described it. When I shared my experience with other creative people, they said they felt the same. I remember I felt it when I was in school. This was okay, and no one paid attention to it before. No one thought it was something divine or extraterrestrial. It is an altered state of mind and has nothing to do with religion or aliens. You can feel a similar condition when you play a hand drum, as if you are in a tube or some stream of energy. All creative people experienced it. This condition occurs when discussing sophisticated and higher matters or connecting with art. An artsy person has this code, a unique rhythm, and can turn this frequency inside you when you click. You may also experience this condition when you are in a creative mode. I feel it every time I write books. There is nothing I can do specifically to access this state. It turns on when I start writing or sharing my information. I used to resist it. It was like an echo in my head, and it felt unusual. You lose the sense of time and space and feel disoriented. The head feels heavy like a helmet. This is how I usually feel now. I don't have any outside thoughts. I'm always here and now. Every artsy, creative person experiences this state. It may disappear if you watch the news and shut yourself down with substances. When you connect to the frequency of society, this force field of energy disappears along with inspiration and awareness. Some people never experience it because they are always on the rough frequency of the mind. The Little Prince story describes that kind of people as people of numbers. They evaluate everything by numbers and attach a monetary value to everything.
They never encounter the state of being out of a calculative and judging mind. Some hear about it and use substances and medicinal drugs to alter their mind artificially. They convince themselves that they feel it when they go to some trendy retreats and take psychedelic substances. This is not natural and might destabilize the psyche. This is not the right path to awareness. People who do it are materialistic, closed, and sinful. It is crucial to stay on an organic and holistic approach to development. You can disconnect from the frequency of the mind by using relaxing techniques and practices, calming the mind, and turning the heart on. You can simply calm down, play chess for a month, feel your rhythm, and turn on your heart instead of attending trendy, over-popularized retreats and courses offered by sinful, self-proclaimed coaches who vulgarize spirituality and turn into a money-making mechanism. Question. Alexander, I can't control my attention. I try to avoid scrolling Instagram. However, I occasionally see some trashy news on my friends' pages that steal my attention. What should I do? I block people, but some disturbing news pops up and distracts me. I don't want to give my attention to it. How can I be stronger? When I stay in countries where Instagram is blocked, I feel it is a blessing. But when it is accessible, I tend to check it twice more often than I want. Many of my books talk about social media and its impact on people. You should start by analyzing what you want to do with the time you spend scrolling the content. Think about it this way. If you used all that time for yourself, who would you be? This is where you must start from. How would your life be different if you didn't spend time online? What would you achieve? If you dedicate your time and energy to yourself instead of checking social media, how would the quality of your life improve? The answer is, you would be a different person. What makes you different now from the rest of the herd slowly moving towards the abyss? Nothing. What makes people identical are their identical actions. There is no space for individuality and awareness when everyone does the same thing. It is a paradox. I spoke about it long ago when it was an unfashionable topic. Fashion is an effect of a herd of morons. If 100 chickens wear something, the rest will also wear it. This is how fashion is created and steered. Fashion is not only a prerogative of the clothing industry. There are trends in fashion, lifestyle, travel destinations, everything. You might think you chose an occupation based on your personal preference. However, it is also dictated by trends and fashion. Individuality is a rarity. People who are authentic and unique are not visible on social media. Their lives are wholesome and abundant, and they have no desire and time to demonstrate their lifestyle to others. I don't understand what is so good about social media, and frankly, it indicates the level of awareness. The fact that you are interested in news and stories on social media and find it essential to demonstrate the details of your personal life makes you a primitive person. I don't understand the logic of doing something on social media. Why do I have to show something and to whom? Who are those people? What is the purpose behind it? It is the same thing that monkeys do in the zoo. They put a finger up their butts and then smell it. When you see monkeys do it, you feel disgusted. But this is how I see people's behavior nowadays. It is strange and disgusting. A global transformation is happening. There are pandemics and wars, people are scared, and many are dying. And what I see is that people continue to post food and their 10 bodies. What is happening? How is it possible? What kind of nonsense is that? People continue to post naked photos to provoke and get attention. People don't care. They have no soul. Do you like looking at all of that? Then it is an indicator. You ask me, how can I get rid of it? Let's start from a different angle. So you are who you are. We just met. You describe to me your problem. I can immediately conclude that you are very dependent on Instagram, and we have nothing in common.
I am not saying it to make you feel bad. I want you to understand that it is a catastrophe and you must get out of it. This is my way of convincing you. Think about it. This is your personal indicator. I'm working on my scientific research and articles. I'm writing books and they are distributed globally. I work with artists and actors and study languages. I am entirely engaged in it. I have thousands of discoveries and inventions. Besides that, I'm building my farm. Despite any provocations, I'm trying to keep my lifestyle as healthy as possible. And you are a victim of Instagram. This is what I call it. You watch who knows what, listen to random songs, read and like random posts. This is you. This is your soul. Think about it. This is the level of your values. This is your focus of attention, your frequency, your world. They are your gods. My gods are people of science and art, and yours are imposters who are trying to steal your attention online. They use all sorts of algorithms to get visibility. This is your world. You chose it. Start with sobering your mind and strengthening your internal power. You can resist the temptations starting with the following reflections I will show you. Analyze the circle of your friends and acquaintances. People around you characterize you and your lifestyle. Your future spouse will be from the same group if you are single. What do you read? What do you watch? This is your reality. You are pushing away another reality that I describe in my books. You will never be able to connect with highly educated people or deep, meaningful information. This is what you need to think about. If you want something different, you must act and think differently. Concentrate your entire mental capacity and resist the temptation of social media. If you say you don't have the power to resist it, start by reflecting on it. You have apps on your phone and you check them automatically. Delete them. What's the problem? If you want your life to be different, delete Instagram. It is simple. This is your precious life that you are burning. Society was different 10 or 15 years ago when I was writing about it. Now it is just a waste of life. What is happening now on social media is shameful and immoral. Spend time with family, work out, read, and walk outside. Do anything to replace mindless browsing. You spend all your time there. I don't feel for people who are unconsciously dependent on social media and novelty trends. I am on the other side. I am from a different caste and upbringing. There might be some rock musician who writes music while everyone forgets about him. He is not on social media, and no one remembers him. He is much closer to me than you, and I would love to talk to him. You chose your idols. Some bloggers declared themselves the greatest and gave themselves unlimited rights. How convenient. Everyone calls himself as they want. One imposter calls himself a coach. Another is a self-proclaimed spiritual guru or a pseudo-billionaire. They declare themselves gods of knowledge, and you bow to them. Don't you understand? They called themselves whatever they wanted. Before the pandemic, they were just lowlives, unknown and miserable. They greedily transformed themselves to deceive people to make money off them. I am real. People are asking me why I am not making videos based on the materials of my books. I know it would be different than what deceitful bloggers do, but I can't. My soul is hurting when people talk to me about it. I understand that readers will forget about me if I do not start making videos, but it is all right with me. Let them forget. But I know that I'm clean before God. I am truthful to myself and not letting myself down. I don't want to become a blogger. This is how I think. My soul is happy and alive. So, you are skiing about Instagram? Delete it. What is the problem? You can't? It is an addiction. Is it your choice? Delete messengers and create new ones where you have your parents and your best childhood friends. Don't just follow anyone. It will be difficult at first. If you feel anxious and irritated without social media, think about how deeply it affected you. If you didn't care, then you would be independent. If you feel annoyed and can't delete the apps, then it is a sign of dependency and unconsciousness. If you are reading this treatise, then you haven't forgotten me, and your spark is still in your heart. I'm like an old generation, old ancient rusty robot. And you didn't forget me. There are so many shiny objects, glitter and tinsel around, and people are ready to tell you sweet lies and give you hugs and kisses, but you are still here. It means that something inside of you is alive. If something else happens in the world, then that will be it. If I organize a presentation of my book in half a year, I feel like no one will be there. I see the stats. The numbers are dropping. Where are we heading? I won't do anything. But if I shut my soul for a month, turned off my virtues, spit on God, and sold my soul to the devil, I would be all over the media immediately. Everyone would be dying to talk to me and get an interview with me. I have all the tools and means for it. But I've chosen another path. I've always chosen another path. All my friends and relatives told me I was crazy, but I told them I prefer to be nobody. I will not sell my soul. I don't care if people didn't remember me, but I know my soul, and my soul never failed me. I have a feeling everything will turn upside down soon. Question. Hi Alexander, I often meet elderly people with sharp attention. Their minds are still vibrant and flexible even in the old age, even if they don't read a lot and their bodies are quite weak. Can you please explain it? Because they have hearts. These people are conscious, first of all. It means that their lifestyle is active and their attention is not frozen at one point, unlike many other retirees. It may be related to their previous professional activity. Most likely it was a job with a dynamic movement of attention. It is also possible that they know foreign languages. Any switches between rhythms are favorable for people. It helps to prevent the development of dementia and early aging. First and foremost, it is necessary to stay alert, not always relaxed. Those who let themselves go into a permanently relaxed mode become vegetables. It is happening now with young people a lot. My grandparents are way more alert than 30-year-old adults. Many people are going out of their minds in their own way. When you talk about conscious older adults, they are not tied to some comfort zone. They are probably traveling. They like crosswords and scan words. Therefore, they are not rusty and aware and live by their hearts. It means they have good virtues. This is essential because they are connected to nature. These people can converse at 80 and understand everything the same as me. I am fascinated by my grandfather, whose mind is as young as mine. I only know a few who can reason as sharp as my grandpa. Many of my employees and friends in their 30s behave like they are 150. They are absent-minded and delusional. It happened during the past few years. Well, my grandfather was always a superhuman. But what happened to my friends and employees was a disaster. They are really out of their minds. They don't understand or remember anything. Their thoughts and speech are not attuned. Such a disaster. It is a very close subject to me. There were people who I cannot name who reached out to me asking to research this phenomenon. What are the causes of mental disorders and dementia, and how to prevent them? I spent a lot of time researching the origins and causes of mental disorders. It is an important topic because I have observed people deteriorating rapidly during the past few years. It was a part of my personal story, and I will share it. The pandemic and multiple military conflicts created mass turmoil worldwide. Disturbing and aggravating news was streaming from all sources. The level of aggression in people was overwhelming. I could feel the vibration of stress, anxiety, anger, and fear from everyone. I could not be around people and could not read their letters. At some point, it was best for me to disconnect from all channels. I felt the noise and intoxication from people so much that I felt that I could die. People were transmitting mass distress. When I started researching it, I found the reasons. Now I feel more aware than I felt when I was born. It was a long and laborious journey to figure out all the but that surrounded me. What was the evil influence that distracted me? I was studying relentlessly to understand. Fascinating, but you don't need money for it. I search for tools and remedies to resist the hysteria that gripped the world. When you make a dish and follow the recipe, you monitor the proportions of the ingredients you use. The result will be different depending on the quantities. If you increase the amount of one component and decrease another, you will receive different outcomes. Therefore, the dosage is essential. I concluded that it is not what influences us, but how. In what quantities and in what dosage? Remember the example of alcohol and cigarettes? It is not the ingredients that are bad for you, but the fact that both are elements of a particular frequency. When you drink and smoke every day, you are connected to that frequency every day. You are in your comfort zone when you are in the same daily rhythm. The mind becomes weaker and degrades. Controlling how long we are exposed to a complex of elements of one frequency is crucial. Each rhythm has an arrangement of components like music, movies, clothes, and people. I realized that the key is not in the quality of the music and the movies we surround ourselves with, but for how long. One of the topics I will continue working on is the zero frequency. I also called it the corridor, spiritual, or nameless rhythm. In addition, I will further research the impact of the frequencies on a person. I proved before that connecting a person to a particular frequency is possible if you remove all elements of his current mode from his life and surround him with the components of a different world. If you remove all elements from the frequency number 5 from your life and surround yourself with the elements of the frequency of number 10, you will connect to the frequency number 10. It was a groundbreaking research. I was able to explain it to people. This is how the world works. Then I came to the conclusion that the sequence of order is essential. The elements might be the same, but diverse arrangements impact the outcome. I have gradually worked on this subject for over 10 years. One of the experiments I demonstrated was that if you fold a piece of paper in a certain progression, you can watch a miracle. But later, I had a scientific explanation for it. It is related to algorithms. I saw it clearly through the algorithm of the artificial intelligence that is used in social media. The key is in the sequence of actions. For example, I told my assistant to write a letter in 3 sentences, and she changed the order, assuming it didn't matter. But it is essential indeed. The addressee will react differently because the tone of the phrase will change based on the order of the sentences. I have had this feeling since I was very young. Another example is that there are many bananas on display. When you are on one rhythm, you will see one banana, and when you are on a different rhythm, you will see another. There is another observation I had a long time ago when I was getting ready to go for a walk as a kid. If you draw a route on a map according to which you need to go straight, then turn right, then go straight again and make 3 circles, then bam, you will connect to another frequency. The sequence of actions makes a significant impact on the events. The same applies to the numbers. It is a secret and sacred information, but for me, it is just science. I think many scientists would appreciate the explanation that I found. It is a new topic for me that I will be working on soon. There were people who used to laugh at me asking, "Alexander, is there an end to the stream of your information? Where do you get it from? When will it end? How do you do it? Where does it come from and why does it never end?" There are 2 themes that I have to work on, and I barely have time. But I will manage it because everything comes in the right sequence and I keep things in order. I'm doing one assignment till September and will start a new task at the end of September. Question: how do you break a vicious circle when constantly thinking about changing your life? I want to start exercising and learn new skills to start a new profession, but I don't have the motivation to do anything. A person I know had the same problem. This is a common situation for many nowadays. It is problem number 1. People don't know what they want to do: play guitar or study a new language. They often think about it but don't make any moves. It happens because you can't focus. The attention is distracted because it is connected to society through social media and news. If I go on YouTube, check Instagram, and start messaging people on WhatsApp or Telegram, I will immediately feel the same. I would feel the same every day. A day will pass, and you don't do anything except for the most essential. It feels like it is challenging to concentrate, and your productivity is extremely low. However, this is an illusion. In my conscious world, I can work out, immerse myself in my creative work, and then shoot a video. People who have known me for a while have always wondered how I manage so many tasks. The point is that my attention is entirely free. There are no interferences. Interferences are everything that creates noise in your head and influences your mood. You feel like you want to do something, but not today. It is as if you don't have any energy and something heavy is pressuring you down. Many people on my team went through the same situation. It may sound rough, but I fired many people from my team. Why did I fire them instead of helping? Because I'm not a teacher. Everything is in the books I wrote and accessible to anyone. It is every person's personal choice and decision to take life under control. I am not here to babysit and nurture them. I am not their mom or dad. I give a chance to everybody. You feel scattered and distracted due to the noise of social media. It is a problem for the entire society. There are exceptions, but those people escape social media's influence or have a unique lifestyle like me. Social media is robbing you of your happiness, relationships, career, and everything. You say that you can't switch, but at least you are thinking about it. You are in your comfort zone. Reduce cigarette breaks. Stop wasting time on endless messaging about nonsense. You don't need to spend that much time messaging with your friends. They can wait. Enough is enough. Stop being codependent. Spend time alone with your phone turned off. Feel yourself. You will notice how amazing it feels to disconnect from society and dive inside yourself. Stare at the ceiling for 5 hours. Feel how you are disconnected from the influence of the noise. I practiced it myself to check how it works. It is a connection to what is holding your attention, including society. I was helping a friend to break a vicious circle. It was very hard for him at the beginning. He was repeatedly checking messengers and social media. His attention was connected to all that junk. It was his rhythm, his comfort zone. He didn't know what to do with himself when he blocked all sources. It was an unhealthy addiction. It looked like a condition. It is not normal. You will notice a difference if you remove all dependencies and spend a couple of days without your phone. Help your mother cook dinner, do some push-ups, and realize you have nothing digital except for a book. You will rediscover yourself. It will not be easy for the first few days, but internal peace and happiness will increase daily. No one will tell you about it because it has taken over most people nowadays. Question: is it effective to go camping for a few days without the phone? Can I use hiking as a technique to refocus attention and regain inspiration? Camping and hiking are beneficial, but everything goes back to the status quo. That is the problem. People don't know how to build the boundaries. People need to understand the harmful effects of social media. Many people will not be able to switch within 2 days of camping because they have been stuck in their comfort zone for the past 10 years. If a person goes on a camping trip, he might not be present there with his mind. His body is hiking, but his mind is connected to the rhythm of society. Some won't wake up even if they see a bear. Some people have more control and will be able to recharge and reset during the expedition. They will feel rejuvenated at first, which will benefit their life for some time. Ideally, one must hike if that suits him weekly. Find an activity you enjoy and use that time to disconnect and rest. Go out of town. Take a walk in nature. The transition dynamics between rhythms will balance your psyche and bring harmony to your mind. It is excellent if you have family and relatives. It is fantastic if you have a hobby and alternate your attention between various worlds. The more worlds you can create and travel between, the better. It is great to have separate rituals and outfits for particular frequencies. I emphasize the importance of living between different rhythms. People often ask me where they should live, in the city or the country. It is better to alternate and change rhythms. Travel and explore as much as you can. An urge for consistency and a comfort zone signifies early aging. Travel restrictions during the pandemic greatly impacted people's mental health. People who were used to traveling a lot and changing locations went insane. I felt it as well, therefore did a lot of local travel. People were wondering why I was constantly changing places. Because I needed. Global traveling was restricted, and my mind needed a change of scenery and climate. Regular changes in climate rhythms improve physical and mental health. You live longer and healthier, and your awareness grows. You need to travel the matrix, the labyrinth of north, south, west, east. It is a different topic though. We won't touch it now. So, a change of picture is vital. If a person takes a trip once, he will feel little difference. He would still feel connected to a customary frequency of his everyday life and dive into his comfort zone as soon as he returned. You need to consider everything I wrote earlier. A camping or hiking trip will work as one of the elements. One-time excursions will not change much. He would return to his rhythm right away when he came back or even stay there during the entire trip. I will give an example of people's behavior when they lack attention. I like to demonstrate it in actual cases. Some time ago, I announced the presentation of my book online and people signed up. One lady was new, attending my presentation for the first time. She made a payment and sent 3 letters right after, asking where the information was. She wrote to my assistant that all she saw online were 2 audio recordings and sent us several screenshots of the online broadcast channel. We told her that the presentation format is mostly Q&A and that we will post questions as they come and respond to them in order. She was still impatient and continued to disturb my assistant and me. She was asking if the 2 recordings were the whole presentation. What should we do with this person? This is one of the reasons that my assistant will have limited access to me. Even if you go to the news and announce something on your forehead, I will never find out. I am limiting access to me because I value my attention. This situation demonstrates a lot for you to take notes of what attention is. If I were a weak person who is steered by emotions and instincts, I would get upset if I received this message. I would switch to a negative rhythm and feel disturbed. All negative feelings are negative vibrations and a part of a particular world. So if I were weak, I would feel differently and would continue writing this book on a different rhythm and with different energy. It would influence my writing. I recall people asking me before, "Alexander, how do you not only achieve a vigorous, clear, and concentrated state of mind, but also keep it when everything attacks and provokes you?" It is essential to understand that if I weren't so strong spiritually and didn't have a balanced lifestyle, I would react as an ordinary person. However, I am permanently in a state of happiness and bliss, and I don't feel anything besides warmth in my heart. I am in a creative flow right now and write my books in the flow. I look at this letter from the outside of the situation. If I had unhealthy habits and would always scroll through social media, messaging and discussing rumors and news, I would react like a naked wire. It would be an uncontrolled reaction. I would feel upset. Most people react this way. Nothing can shake you when you rest regularly and take breaks between the transitions of the frequencies. This is essential in our unstable times. What would happen to me if I were connected to society and my mind was spinning? I would feel panic and fear if I saw some terrifying news. All these emotions, which are not mine, would take over, and I would act unconsciously. When you have internal harmony and your attention is disconnected from everything, you see everything from the outside. It is your choice whether to connect to something or not and what to concentrate on. As for that lady, I greatly respect her because she has hope. That reader was new. She didn't know about me and probably found me online recently. She was unfamiliar with the event format, and it is excellent that she signed up and reached out. I am very grateful to her. She started worrying because she had no idea how the presentation usually works. However, her emotional stability needed improvement. If she was that upset by such a minor cause, what would happen if she got into serious trouble? Her mental and physical health will be in jeopardy. But why does she behave this way? Indeed, it is not her fault. There are many reasons why she reacted this way. Some of them I described above. I noticed that people are almost ready to kill you if something seems to them. This example is a case of an early beginning of something like that. It happens on a large scale as well. People seem to feel something and react very viciously. Thankfully, she didn't start threatening me, even though I wish all the best to her and have nothing against her. Do you see where we are going with this? It is one of the questions I plan to discuss in this treatise. Patience. She was lacking patience. I noticed that people lack patience and they get in trouble because of it. We have to take note that patience is essential. Don't jump to conclusions, especially in a negative form. When something triggers you, don't react immediately out of impulse. Reset, switch the rhythm, and evaluate the situation from another angle. You must be in a neutral state of mind to assess the situation objectively. When a person from an unstable society wants to attend my presentation, he sees everything negatively through the prism of the negative emotions that he brought in. You know very well that my books have no negativity. People have been acting negatively against me since my childhood, as if I'm evil. It is their own irritation. They are constantly offended and perceive everything in a negative way. They are ready to destroy and rip apart because they are angry. What does it have to do with me? Now you understand why I don't want to be in society. I don't want to read any letters. I don't want to know about anybody. If I'm studying bugs, I want to be in the world of bugs, and it is beautiful. If I'm writing books about something deep and philosophical, it is awesome. I recommend you do the same. You witness now that I still have one foot in your world. I am reading your letters and connecting with you. Soon I will remove this foot from your world and disappear. I will say my goodbyes. If people perceive me as an evil person and think that my work is no good, why do I need to communicate with people? What do I need it for? The reader provokes my assistant, and then my assistant writes to me, and the whole chicken coop is stirred up. If I engaged in it and let it distract me, I would be the same as all imbalanced people you see in society. Take care of your peace of mind. That girl, I'm sure, is a normal person. It is not her fault that she felt this way. I was always worried that I saw people acting this way. It is especially sad when you know someone who was normal before. This is what my books are about. Hopefully, this story will help her and teach her not to take everything so anxiously. I always think positively about people. When a person promised to bring me something I purchased and didn't show up, I would think that something might have happened. I don't get upset and I instead worry about him. I would still think well of that person. My crew would say, "Sasha, you got fooled again." It is customary for society to lynch people immediately when they screw up. If you are 5 minutes late, people think all kinds of crap about you. What if you are sick or have an injury? People don't think this way. They assume only bad stuff. Do you know why? Because the mind is negative. The mind is always assuming and overthinking and always in the negative format. People who are free from negative assumptions are living not by the mind, but by the heart and good virtues. This is how it works. I hope that girl appreciates my act of goodwill. I would simply refund and block her before. Now I am giving her a chance. Let her understand. Hopefully, she will realize that she rushed a little bit too early and will take note of that. This treatise will give her information to think about. It is good for her. Maybe she will become super aware and super balanced and will write a book in 30 years. Who knows? P.S. The girl apologized later and said she couldn't control herself. I'm reading a letter now, and it is huge. I will not publish it entirely, and I will explain why. This is my personal approach as an author. I'm a peculiar author and have my quirks. For 10 years in a row, I told my readers to ask questions clearly and one by one. It is related to attention again. Some people write long letters where they mix various topics into one message. They start by thanking, telling personal stories, and then jumping into questions. This kind of communication does not show high awareness and focused attention. Long letters with mixed topics have the vibrations of abstraction and noise. It is too excessive and not good feng shui. I can't read these kinds of letters because they may distract me. The message must be short, clear, and to the point. When you go over and over some topics, repeat, then ask something, I don't read things like this. If you want to grasp my attention with this approach, I won't give it to you. I stay in a particular state of mind when answering questions, broadcasting, and writing books. If I read your letter, my vibrations will lower and I will become more shallow and dull. I don't need it. Thank you very much. Question. I believe that gadgets, movies, and shows with special effects are part of the progress. If it is so and the result harms us, does it mean the progress went wrong? Or maybe we are not handling the progress correctly if we are glued to our phones and sunk in social media? There are many versions of answers to this question. I don't know which one is the right one. One of them is that whenever something new is invented, people need to learn how to apply it correctly. For example, humans created a sharp tool that helped them cut trees and hunt animals. Then a man might use it to hurt another man. There have yet to be any regulations on how to use it. Same with the guns. Later, humans understood that there needs to be a law of firearms. The law regulates the license process and determines who is allowed to operate. Only particular people can use guns. The same is happening with the internet. People invented it, but what's next? A while ago, some startup people convinced me that people would develop flying cars. I disagreed, which made them angry. Why did I disagree with them? Because I was a little older and wiser. They didn't consider the fact that society was not ready for it yet. People are barely paying attention when they drive cars on the roads, and there are so much accidents every day. People need to be ready to use flying vehicles. It would create a huge commotion and danger. There is so much crime and immoral behavior still in the world. Would you want people to use flying cars to spy or break into people's houses? Imagine a vehicle falling on people. I tried explaining it to the startup people, but they didn't hear me. They are still in their foggy dreams without money and flying cars. I told many startup people who thought they could intervene in God's plans. I told them, it is your ego. Don't forget, God has a plan. Nature has a plan. Everything comes at the right time and in perfect order. Who do you think you are? What happened with the internet? In the beginning, people explored the internet cautiously. It was difficult for people at first. It was uncommon to make videos of oneself and post them. I observed the cyclicity and saw how things evolved. I started making videos in 2010 when it was very uncommon. People were afraid to post videos of themselves online. Nowadays, everyone is doing it. The same people who were shy about it before now find it normal. When I offered people to take videos of them before, they were afraid. And see what is happening now. They were afraid back then, and it is a norm now. They make and post more videos than me now. Well, that is the tendency of the herd of the morons. People are adapting. They didn't know how to use this instrument at first. When they figured that the internet was a tool, many sinful and greedy people started taking advantage of it. The internet world will go to some extreme and be restricted somehow soon. It is happening now. 10 years ago, people could post anything without consequences, but it is different now. People get persecuted for distributing false information. This situation will keep changing unless a meteorite hits Earth. People will adapt to social media accordingly. Adaptation is evolving gradually, as with photography, videography, gadgets, and connections between people. There is also a factor of the internet erasing the boundaries between the countries. People used to live in their own countries and had very little information about other countries. Now everything is mixed up and trivialized through social media. Cultures and religions are mixed up, and true values are depreciated. Is it progress? If there will be no cultures, no religions, and no traditions, is that progress? Something should happen in the world to rebuild the status quo. I don't know. Or maybe I do know, but I don't want to tell. Currently, we see the internet as evil, but it may change. Anything may happen. For now, the tendency is detrimental. Shameless people are taking over the social media and preaching sinful and vulgar messages to naive crowds. Maybe it will continue this way. Maybe sinful and shameless imposters who make easy money and pour themselves whatever they want will go further. They will be acting in the movies, and it is already happening. They will become musicians, and next, they will go into politics. Everything is leading this way now. If it happens, I will escape to my country house and research bugs. I will not be a part of it. I will be like an old generation of our grandparents who grew up in different music and movies. I will think about the 90s and the 2000s and live the rest of my life thinking about the past and resenting the new. The new generation is growing on these messages, which has become normal. Face tattoos and explicit sex images will be normal for them. They will do dumb stunts and make videos for money, and it will be normal for them. They will vulgarize religions and distort everything more and more. People will be walking around naked. Maybe that will be the reality. This is scary. Something dramatic should probably happen in the world for people to wake up. This is a second version of the events. It is often a topic of many conspiracy theories, and many movies about the end of the world exist. Maybe it is just an illusion of comfort. Do I believe in it or not? Do I think something should happen in the world and change for the better? When I see how low we fell, religions are devalued, and society makes spirituality trendy and false. I want to believe that a higher power will intervene and save people from falling into the abyss. Maybe it is a design of the universe to have a period of hell on earth at this time as retribution for people like me. The only escape is to create your world, surround yourself with good music, appreciate nature, and read books like Little Prince. You can live happily in your world and not participate in the hysteria and agony. When I emphasize a strong accent on something in my books and give information, it doesn't mean that I think about it every day and it disturbs me. Not at all. I can connect to it, write and publish 3 chapters about it, and return to my fairy tale planet. Question: can you please share more information about the relation between music and attention? If possible, could you please share some tracks that help you focus and increase productivity in the rhythm of 500 and stay in the rhythm of the home when you are home? Thank you. I cannot share music tracks. I will tell you a long and a conflicted story about it. As I mentioned earlier, building boundaries between the rhythms is crucial. If you have a family, it is a separate world and a separate soundtrack. Yes, work is work, family is family, and hobbies are hobbies. But there is something else. What closes a person and makes his mentality weak is absence of new experiences. It is a comfort zone. You need to do something else when you are ready to leave your comfort zone and create new worlds. For example, you have your favorite cafe, and you take the same route to go there. It is your comfort zone. You are doing it automatically without thinking about it. It is your familiar route and familiar place. You order the same salad every time. Every time I see it, I ask people, "Why do you live like a zombie?" "Sasha, could you stop this, please? I ordered the salad that I like." You don't know what you like. You order it not because you like it or not. You order it because you are a zombie. It is an autopilot. Do you know how many various foods there are in the world? Do you know that there are foods you will never try because you're limited in your rhythm? Try something else. If you want to sober yourself, prohibit all customary things you do. Indeed, stay mindful, don't go to extremes, and stay within the laws and regulations. Just replace everything you usually do with new things. For example, you always eat oatmeal. Order something else. Choose a different type of tea or lemonade. Replace everything you are used to something completely new. Don't go to the same stores you used to go. Imagine that they disappear because it is your comfort zone and your weakness. People slow down with age because they surround themselves with too many fixed elements. Their attention is attached to a particular cluster of components filling their lives. They are not looking for new experiences, and their mind becomes idle. You should return yourself to a state of mind when you are learning new things. Do you know what I did? I erased all contacts. I had celebrities, politicians, entrepreneurs, military commanders, and wizards. I didn't save a single one. This is power. When you are afraid to erase a photo, when you are holding on to some items, places, or people, it is weakness and cowardice. This is not a life of faith. Conservative people always use the same routine. They use the same roads to visit the same mechanic they have used for ages. There are so many places where they fix cars. Why not go to a new place? Why do you go to the same place over and over again? Stop doing things on autopilot. If people push you to do something they did for ages, refuse. Tell them, let's find something new. It is vital. Imagine you need a doctor. People immediately give you the contacts of doctors they used before. Tell them, stop, let's find a new doctor consciously. There are so many doctors. Let new things in. When people are attached to old habits and objects, it creates stagnation. Start with changing your habitual routine. Visit new places and explore your city from different angles. Again, I'm reminding you to stay within the boundaries of the law. Don't do some crazy stunts and tricks. Keep your mind cool and under control. The world is so vast, but people lock themselves in their tiny, stale space with no fresh air. People who live like that are very conservative. They are boring and stuffy. They always use navigation, and they are not ready to discover something new. Imagine there are so many streets, boulevards, and places where you have never been before. They are right here in front of your nose. There are so many musical genres, and you are holding on to something particular. It is awful. How long have you had that avatar for? You have had it for 7 years, since that time when I told you to change it in one of my books. It is still the same. On one hand, it is excellent that you don't pay attention to these things. It might be an excuse. On the other hand, it is awareness and attention. If you want your attention to be free, and if you want to avoid mental disorders and dementia, fall in love with the newness and changes. Change your wardrobe, give away or sell your old clothes, and buy all new ones. Move your furniture or do a complete remodeling. Changes are great. Those who resent changes deteriorate, age, and degrade. Talking about music, I will not give it. It is one of the things I write about in my books and fight with. All people in society and the mind have this weakness. It is a desire to snatch and put into the pocket. It is possessiveness. You saved my presentation, photo, shared images, or music track. You are stealing and shaming. Or you saw a girl buy something and ran to that store. You see someone eat something and you run there. This is bad, and it is a sin. If you want to feel how your energy multiplies, delete everything you collected from my list that you saved for years. It will give you attention. It will make you conscious. If you have my music playlists, delete them. I gave you all the movie collections, delete them all. Delete all audio recordings, photos, everything. You desire to find out who I am hanging out with. I don't have any friends. You're fooling yourself with your desires and actions. The desire to understand me is a mistake as well. I am my books. Don't try to get to know me. You will never know. It is useless because all you see is the cover. When people want to know about my personal life, I post some photos of me with my friends so people just leave me alone. You don't even understand how much I control everything. Some people think they know where I live. They don't know that I always have two locations. One people that I let people see is a showroom, and the real one is unknown to all. You never saw anyone who was close to me. It is ridiculous when some people think that they understand me. The desire of your hungry mind to understand everything is the valuation. It is one of the problems as well. People lose interest in everything. You don't need to understand. You heard a song and you like it, so listen to it. Don't download the entire album. Don't research who the musician is. Stop consuming everything with your beastly mind. Choose using your feelings. The desire to consume with the mind devalues everything. People thought they understood me by my social media profile. I posted photos and they lost interest because they decided that I was an ordinary person, just Sasha who writes some books. People are following themselves. I am the same writer I have always been. I see the world differently. I know how it works. I know all kinds of secrets and mysteries, and my knowledge keeps growing. But I see the more I progress, the more society degrades. I am the only jewelry maker who can evaluate his own work. No one can really understand the value of my books and my works. The desire to consume is evil. I want you to search for music yourself. There is nothing complicated. Do you know what kind of music should be on the frequency of a family and home? If not, it is sad. What kind of music should be in the background of your work depends on your work. It should be some active tempo. I like how you guys feel now. I opened the curtain a little and many felt a boost of energy or tingle in their head. Do you feel it? How do I manage to do it? Actually, it is just a correct lifestyle. Be kind to people. When people are unfair towards you, don't respond. Be a martyr. That is how you will become spiritually aware. Question. Hello, Alexander. I just returned from a trip that was so enjoyable that my perspective has completely changed. I feel like I expanded from the inside. It is attention. Does it mean that my attention capacity grew? And how can we expand it even more? It is excellent that you can disconnect from your usual routine during your trip. A new experience helped to reset your lifestyle. The key is completely disconnecting from the customary rhythm and connecting to a new one. The switch between the models are more important than the trip's destination. The transition reinforces awareness. You can also use the clues I gave before. You switch by traveling between the worlds. You connect to a spiritual frequency when reading books, playing music, drawing, or visiting your relatives in the countryside. When you feel that rhythm, you notice the energy of your attention amplifies and your awareness grows. You might think the reason is in the particular frequency, but the key is in the switch itself. During the transition, you enter the frequency of zero. Zero is a magical frequency of a corridor, a space with no name. When you are in that rhythm, you are in complete solitude. Your thoughts are high and philosophical. You are fully relaxed and calm. Some meditate, some people pray, and some write diaries. It is a great time to do some creative projects. Creativity also helps to disconnect from the outside world and focus on yourself. This is how to turn the attention back inside. I talk about natural creativity when you are alone and fully engaged in the process. I'm not talking about the trendy paint classes and gatherings like people do these days. I mean real creativity, and you paint without some fancy tools using what you have. You paint for hours and days.
may forget to eat, and don't even think about your phone. This is real creativity, and sadly, many forget about it. Turns out fake people also do create projects, but can't do it right. They are failing even in this aspect. They are trying to look creative, but they have no idea how creative and artsy people live and how they create. You asked me about attention. I answered you. I have more discoveries about it, and I will talk more about it in my future books. To give you a glance at it, here it is. You have your energy, which is your attention, and you are trying to consolidate it. Let's take a computer as an example. You have several open windows on the screen. Multiple apps and software run simultaneously, and the computer starts glitching and freezing. People experience the same burnout. The solution is to close all windows and focus on just one. Be here and now and concentrate your intent on one subject. Focus on one window and nothing will freeze and glitch because you freed your attention and directed it to the task. This is attention control, and you need to train yourself to operate it. You focus on one task, then disconnect and turn your attention to another. Your attention is your energy. Please learn how to regain your energy. The more you practice and exercise controlling your attention, the more you grow. You can grow so much that you can use the power of your attention and the entire universe. You can connect to the cosmic energy and multiply your capacity 100, even 1,000,000 times. I use this flow of energy and attention for my work and to make discoveries. Your efficiency becomes super powerful, and you can achieve anything. It is important to remember that your lifestyle must be holistic to access and hold a high level of awareness. Nurture good qualities in your character. Stay kind and open-hearted like a child. Don't fight back even when someone mistreats you. Stay naive and light as a child. The power will be in you. It is not easy to achieve it, but you must keep reaching. But it is hard. It is very, very hard. Question. I notice that if my work affairs are in order, something happens at home and vice versa. Why does it keep happening? The fundamentals of life are based on attention. Imagine this. A man comes home from work, but his thoughts are still at the office. His wife and kids unconsciously behave in every way possible to attract his attention. It is an animal instinct, and it is natural for people. But without control, it leads to conflicts and provokes confrontations. The wife and kids behave this way unintentionally. They feel that the husband and the father are not present. He is home physically, but his mind is absent. If this situation occurs often, it will undoubtedly damage the relationships. Another example. Imagine I would go on a date. A girl would feel I am not here and my mind and thoughts are elsewhere. Then we will go to the movies and that's it. No continuation. I disappeared because I was somewhere in my thoughts. Therefore, there was no connection. People love human connection. They love the showing of care. How are you? Did you get home safe? Hugs and kisses. Good morning. Good night. When you don't do it, the connection doesn't happen. Do you need the connection? It is a different topic. It may also happen at work. You come to the office on Monday and join the meeting. Your boss and your colleagues are there. Everyone is active and energized except for you. If you are absent-minded, people will start picking on you. Your boss may scold you, and your peers will pick on you. They are doing it unintentionally. Why does the system work like this automatically? I know why. I just look at the algorithm and I know them all. Your boss is reacting this way because your attention is absent. And what he is paying you for is your attention, not your physical presence at work. Nowadays, people don't have enough attention and they get laid off and fired because of that. Most people can't control it. Many events have happened during the past few years. Horrifying news shook people and uncertainty horrified them. Just COVID had a significant impact on people's psyche.
Attention control is the cause and effect of everything. Accidents happen when a person is distracted. There is no mystery or misfortune. If a person is focused and organized, nothing out of the ordinary happens to him. If something fell on your head or you pinched a finger, it means that you were distracted. It is simple logic. You won't accidentally pinch your finger when you are fully present and your attention is focused. Your attention was absent and the accident brought it back. There is another aspect as well. Our world system is set in a way that requires your attention. Nature wants your undivided attention. There are two opposite forces: the society that steals your attention through the internet and nature that we belong to and must stay connected to. Nature wants you to be present and wholesome and be here and now. When we disconnect from nature, we get into situations and accidents that wake us up and bring us back. When your heart is shut and lost in society, you don't hear the call of nature. Society also has conflicts because there is warfare for people's attention. Various channels speculate on people's attention. Those connected to nature are not lost. They have an inner spark. They have a personal connection with nature. Nature communicates with people through circumstances. When a person loses his relationship with nature, it creates events to wake him up. Accidents serve as reminders to reset and bring back awareness. Many tend to relax when things are going well. You have to stay energized, focused, and organized. Most people dream about stability. They want to buy a house and live there forever. They want to get married and settle. When you relax, the system will bring you circumstances to stir you up. If not today, then in a year. If not in a year, something terrible will happen after 5 years. It is better to have immediate but small slaps rather than huge but later. It will come to you anyway. If you want to avoid problems, stay active. Let's say you were poor, didn't have much, your mindset was weak, and your attention level was 500. Suddenly you advance to the next level and have a house, a car, money, and a romantic relationship. It means that your attention and your level of vibrations have to operate at 1000. You have to grind even more in terms of the transition dynamics. But what happens usually? A person gets a new job, marries, buys a house and a car, and his efficiency performance drops from 500 to 200. Then the system, which is nature, takes everything back from that person to wake him up and raise his efficiency. All of that is connected to attention. When I hire a person, I can see if he has attention. While his attention is focused, he is present. I don't need it when a person is constantly on his phone or his mind is absent. He will get fired because he is a victim of social media and has a constant noise in his head. He might be dreaming about great things, but he is 40 and nobody. A lot of people went downhill during these 10 years. Those who are still listening to me through my books are still alive and not lost. God and nature want you to be alert and give you a slap when you get distracted. If my attention is in the family and I must grow, then all problems will be happening in the family. People tend to stay primarily on one frequency. I was talking about the concept of frequencies. However, people don't like this. Some are entirely focused on the family and relationship and slowly degrade there. Another is only concentrated on work and pushes the rest aside. Then he gets kicked on the head there because it is his world of habitat and his attention is there. The system is educating people in their primary habitats. When you are stuck on a particular rhythm, all adventures will happen in that mode. Most of the time, I write books. Part of my book's process is reading letters and answering people. If I stop reading letters and stop writing and start producing furniture, I will experience adventures there. People will stop attacking and criticizing me for my books, but the hit will be happening in another field of my activity. If my attention is in the furniture business, my character will be challenged there. Maybe one of the guys who make furniture parts will attack me with a chair or will try to steal money. Something will happen to maintain balance and ensure growth. It is a path of development we all go through. Question: I have a friend who is very different from me. I observe our differences and notice that she does not influence me. My mindset stays the same after we spend time together. I also saw that certain communications affect me at work, and I try to fix the impact and adjust myself. Do these interactions affect me even though I am fully aware when they happen? Good question. First, you need to discover the impacts you may not notice, see, or know. You need to take note of that. What's the point of writing about things that are obvious to everyone? I write about things that you have no idea about. How do you check if there is an influence or not? Only by checking it in practice. Every person impacts our lives willingly or unwillingly. It is a chemical reaction. Some results are positive, some negative. You can experiment and disconnect from someone for half a year and see if your life has changed. Some people may have a good influence on you and support your good virtues. You may not notice it, but maybe a person close to you brings goodness in you and keeps your spark lit. If you stop seeing that person, you might shift in the opposite direction. I observed people who I work with or were friends with. When someone is close to me and connect to my world, he experiences joy and lightness. His best virtues arose and his life situation changed for the better. When I left for another country, and I travel a lot, we disconnected, he shut down, and the quality of his life dropped tremendously. He would start drinking, use drugs, or act somehow immorally. There were plenty of cases like that. Why? Because your surroundings matter a lot. Instead of listening to classical music, you listen to some trash, drink beer with people from your past, or something else. One thing after another, and a person is gone. The influence is decisive in people's relationships. Maybe some of you think you are so strong and resilient that nothing can impact you. Everything affects you. It is inevitable. I am a street scientist. I am not a trendy hotshot and can't flash many diplomas. I am honest before God and nature. I spent way more time researching the world's essence, structure, and people are classifying everything around us. People are one united organism in society and everyone is connected. A person may feel or not realize the impact of the community, but it exists. No one is entirely free from the influence. You can't be solely independent of anyone if he lives by his mind. I know how the matrix system works and how the points of connection interact with you. Some people are above you and some below. Each person is in the structure of the matrix and he is an active part of it. There are cells, lines, and points. I see it mathematically and geometrically. There are also exceptions. Another thing I know is how your mind works and how your sins are orchestrated. Many of you will cling to this theory and think that it is about you. No, it is not. There are people outside of the system who are fully connected to nature. They have some divine qualities. Their unique qualities make them irresistible to the pressure of society. When you are one with nature, society cannot affect you. But these are exceptions, and these cases are described in many books. You don't see that many people like that in our time. This is all. I'm glad you decided to read my story despite the temptations. There are so many shiny and fun things around, and here you are reading my book. I appreciate it very much, and I am very grateful to you. I see the world is set. There are two types of people. People of the sins and people of the heart. Serpent Tempter controls the first group, and the God of Light rules the other. As it's shown in the movie The Matrix, there are agents of higher forces who can possess people and destroy them. Demons can steer people to harm others. There is perpetual combat between darkness and light. I see how the system works. Since many people have dark souls these days, The demon can possess anyone. A person like that can attack me. That's why I stay away from people. The danger is everywhere. There is crazy warfare going in this world. Imagine how interesting it is. Some people jump into preliminary conclusions about me and say I went to an extreme. Who are those people and what do they know about me? It is incredible when you have your own world and only you decide what to delete and what to dismiss. You don't depend on anyone. I am not on social media. This is absolute freedom. I am my books and my creative work. I must continue writing. This is my duty before God. Everything else is minor. If there is some focus of attention on me on social media, it is okay. When I have new chapters or new books, my team will publish them. Those who are not here and with me, but on the other side, may think they know and understand me. They post angry comments on my social media and think they have a dialogue with me. It is amusing. I love you all. Please keep your spirits high and keep going. We live in a very unusual time. Take my word, everything will be okay. I am comparing and researching and giving you examples. Imagine me in your place. This guy, Alexandr Korol. He is not a writer, but maybe a musician. If I saw him deflate spiritually, I would be sad. I would think highly of that person and he would be a source of inspiration. And all of a sudden, I see him losing heart. I would be devastated that the world is doomed and it is the end. As you see, I didn't lose my heart. I am all fired up. Please stay inspired and keep your spirits high. Everything will be good. Good will overcome evil, and goodness and truth will win, as it has always been.